for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network.
I need your help to get to the year 1985. You're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
All right. Let's go. Fade to Black. Bespoke radio for the masses. Yeah, man. All right. How you doing? Today's Tuesday, June 21st, 2022. This is going to be a show tonight. Karen A. Dahlman is here, man. Let's do this. I would like to welcome everybody listening all around the world, all across the United States. Hither and thither, to and fro, back and forth, up and down, east and west, north and south, far and near. This is Fade to Black for KJCR, the Game Changer, and UNX Networks, Race Hobbs. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. What is cracking, everybody? How you doing tonight? Right here, one of our favorite guests. I don't even know how many shows I've done with Karen over the years. Karen A. Dahlman is here tonight for the History of Ouija 101 Masterclass. Now, I've already been backstage. I have seen what is about to transpire tonight. This is going to be an amazing show. So get ready. Tomorrow night, right here on this very program, David Palmer. Oh, yeah. He lit it up at Disclosure Fest, and we had planned on having this show, and after after watching him, I just want him to bring a little taste of what he did on stage to Fade to Black. We do that. And I'm a happy guy. This is going to be an amazing show tomorrow night. Thursday is another Fader night with open lines all night long. And then we head to the weekend. And I've got plans this weekend. I do. Did you see the video? Okay. So I did a live stream today on Facebook. And the reason why I did the live stream today is because I'm always talking about Skunk Works, right? And it's right here. And I don't think everybody quite understands what I'm trying to say. This is one of the most secretive locations in the world. And everything else that goes on out there at that facility with NASA. They've got their facility out there. They've got their hangars. Air Force Plant 42 is out there, top secret. You've got that. You've got Northrop Grumman and other companies out there too as well that I don't know the names of. All the secret research, right? It's right there. So, and I talk about this. I've posted videos and and I say things. I don't think you get it. So today I needed pillows. I needed pillows, and it's just one of those things, right? I've got a big fat head, and I wear pillows out, and so I've been planning on going out and doing pillow shopping, and so anyway, today was the day, and I'm out driving, and I know where I'm going, and I went, wait a minute, I'm about to drive past Skunk Works. I took out my phone, live streamed. And I showed this is my street, and this is where it ends at Skunk Works. Go watch the video and you'll get it. It's right there, man. And it's bizarre how a secret facility like that is also out in plain sight. It's pretty strategically laid out how they've got it done. The secret stuff, when they're rolling planes out, that goes, yeah. Anyway, but right there, man, I'm at the stoplight. Check it. There it is. Make a right enter. And that was a lot of fun. So anyway, that was this morning. And just to follow up, I got my pillows. So we shall see. But I got my pillows. I did. And I got what I wanted. So we'll see after the show tonight. Out. Yeah. It's going to be great. All right. You can follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Pillows are important. I see that, Stephen. The pillows are important. I mean, they can just ruin your night's sleep. I mean, seriously. So anyway, follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Go follow my Instagram for all of my guitar stuff at Jimmy Church Radio. Pretty interesting. A lot of fun. A lot of stuff going down over there. And today was a pretty crazy guitar day around here too as well. So anyway, yeah. You can do that over on Instagram at Jimmy Church Radio. Hashtag F2B is the sandbox. It is live in front of me. And you can see Stephen Owen's video of himself with his pillow. And there you go. Okay. Ken Priest is in the house. Everybody is Tri-Scales right there. Betty Joe Jacks. Olivia. Hello, Olivia. How are you? I missed you this weekend. You weren't at Disclosure Fest, Olivia. So everybody go and check out the sandbox, hashtag F2B. I was over in the chat room right before the show. Now, busy news day today. So much news that I have to roll some of the news over to tomorrow. I was going to roll over news from yesterday into today, but today was a pretty busy news day. So let's get straight to it. Check this out. You may not have known what went down this weekend with SpaceX. It was a busy weekend for SpaceX, with the private space company launching 3 of its Falcon 9 rockets into orbit in just 36 hours. SpaceX's final launch may have even been carrying a classified government payload, in addition to launching a spare satellite for low Earth orbit operator Globalstar. The back-to-back launches kicked off Friday from Kennedy Space Center's Launch Complex 39A, with 53 Starlink satellites going into orbit. The rocket's first stage booster set a new record for SpaceX, marking the 13th flight and landing. Incredible. On Saturday, SpaceX launched a radar imaging satellite for the German military. It's called the SARA-1, built by Airbus, launched from Space Launch Complex 4E at Vandenberg Space Force Base, right down the street here in California. And then on Sunday, SpaceX made its final launch of the weekend. Its third Falcon 9 rocket lifted off from Space Launch Complex 40 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida. The company identified one payload on the rocket, the Globalstar FM-15 satellite, and an additional U.S. classified government payload that SpaceX will not confirm or talk about. Now, this is where it gets crazy. Leaked documents from the United States Pentagon reveal it is interested in employing a fleet of SpaceX's Starship rockets as a quick reaction force to stop a future Benghazi-style attack. That is a quote from the documents. The documents obtained by The Intercept were drafted by the Transportation Command, U.S. Transcom, which formed a partnership with Elon Musk, and all of this to investigate the technical feasibility of using the massive rocket within the next 5 years. These militarized starships would carry both cargo and humans and get to anywhere in the world in less than 1 hour. The documents also highlight 3 potential uses for the fleet: an alternate transportation method to the Pacific Ocean, 1, 2, delivering an Air Force deployable base, and 3, embassy support, end quote. Absolutely incredible. Now, China plans to return to Mars and get samples back to Earth in 2031. That's 2 years earlier than NASA and the ESA plan to pull it off. The target date was announced yesterday in a presentation by Sun Zhe, chief designer of the Tianwen-1 Mars orbiter and rover mission that arrived at the Red Planet in February of last year. Zeshu's presentation says China is targeting a 2-launch mission with liftoff in late 2028 and a sample return to Earth in July 2031. The NASA ESA campaign will haul home samples collected by the American Space Agency's Perseverance rover that it has collected, and they are planning to bring that back in 2033. China beat us to it. Now, I posted this over on Facebook today, and the photographs are incredible. Let's see who can post first. Oh, Madeline. Madeline, you did it for me. Okay, you know what, Madeline? I'm going to retweet your tweet because that is incredible. Thank you so much. This is, let me get this up here. Hold on for a second. This is the Jetson car. Yep. And if you want to know what I'm talking about, just head over to Twitter. Hashtag F2B, the sandbox. There it is. Thank you so much, Madeline. Because the owner of a flying car company has completed the first ever commute in one of its $83,600 space-age vehicles. Tomas Patan, the co-founder of the Swedish firm Jetson, as in the Jetsons, piloted the Jetson 1 vehicle from his Italian home to a company building in Tuscany, 3 miles away. The commute time was reduced by 88%. The Jetson 1 is powered by 8 electric motors. Yeah, it's like a quadcopter. Has a flight time of 20 minutes and can reach a top speed of 63 miles per hour. Now, go and look at the picture of this thing. I watched the video today of this commute, and this thing is cool. I want one. It's only $83,000, which, you know, it's not $400,000, not $500,000, it's not $1 million. It's $83,000. That's within. I wouldn't be able to eat for the next 5 or 10 years, but I would have a flying car. It looks wicked. It's amazing, and it looks fun, and it's only $84,000. I'm serious. Take my money. Take my wallet. I'm buying one of these as soon as possible. I'm not kidding. And the video, which you can go and watch online, it's incredible. It's $83,000. So there you go. I had talked about this. If you remember, if you go back to Fade to Black 5 years ago, I had said then the technology in a quadcopter, scale it up, put a seat in it, and you're good to go. These things have collision avoidance, height, the technology is there. GPS, everything is dialed in the software. Just scale it up, put a seat in it, and let's go. Well, that's what they are doing. I guess they'd listen to Fade to Black. Let's get this show cracking. On this day in history, OTD, Mark from Dallas, me want that. You do want that. You do want that. Incredible. 20 minutes and you can fly like a bud. Couple extra batteries, right? You know what I'm saying? It's just too cool. All right. On this day in history, 1990, a 7.7 magnitude earthquake near the Caspian Sea in Iran kills an estimated 50,000 people and injures another 135,000. 7.7 on this day in 1990. Fate or fact? Oh, I don't have a fate or fact today. I don't. So there's your fate or fact. Fact. Jimmy didn't have a fate or fact on June 21st, 2022. Tonight, Karen A. Dahlman is here. We are going to do a full-on History of Ouija 101 masterclass. There will be a pop quiz, kids, so get ready for that. Tomorrow night, David Palmer is here, and I've got high expectations for this show tomorrow night. Talked to David today, and so he's going to be with us tomorrow night. And Thursday is another Fader night with open lines all night long. Now, let me hit this River Moon coffee. Phew. I've been French pressing it lately instead of automatic and my single cup, which I love too as well. But I've been French pressing it, and that's a good cup of coffee right there. Get a French press. It's easy. Get a French press. I got a big one. Get a French press. Get one of those water boiler pots, whatever they call those, and that thing boils water in like 2 minutes, and grind your beans, pop it into the French press, 2 minutes. By the time you grind the beans, pour those in, the water's boiled. You pour that in, the coffee's ready in 30 seconds. You can let it sit a little longer. Some people do, some people don't. But French press, man, the best. Rivermoonwellness.com. Jetson 1. Thank you for that, Dan James. There's a couple of Dan Jameses. Oh, look at this. KUNX. I'm going to retweet this. I think Race. I think Race posted this on Twitter. This is one of my most favoritist pictures of all time. Man, I can type pretty fast, huh? Right? Right here. You want to check out the picture. This was taken in Roswell. It's myself, Lee Spiegel, and Race Hobbs at the Roswell Museum. And look at that. Man, that is just epic. Oh, look, in the background, Race. There's Kathleen Martin. And, wow, this is great. That's just one of my favorite pictures of all time. Thank you for posting that. All right. What am I going to talk about? Oh, rivermoonwellness.com. Okay. Are you ready? Because Austin Butler and Tom Hanks, what may be the film of the year. That says a lot, too. A lot of good stuff out there. It's Baz Luhrmann's Elvis. That's right. It is premiering in theaters this Friday. Elvis. Have you seen the trailer? Have you peeped that out? All right, Fader Knots, pop this trailer up so I can get this retweeted really quick. Everybody can watch the trailer. It looks pretty good. But every film about Elvis that doesn't star Elvis himself has always been pretty tough to pull off. I'm just saying, seriously, for many reasons. And although I have the same issues with this new Elvis, the new film called Elvis, I'm going to give it a shot. We'll see. I do it every single time. I do. But I'm disappointed in the end. But this time around, they have spared no expense. You can tell in the trailer that they've dumped the dosh in this movie. Okay? Now, you can see that much. You can see it. You can see it in the trailer. And in a strange way, I'm just saying, I feel bad for Austin Butler. I like Austin Butler. But without having seen the film yet, I feel bad for him because you have two things going on, and it's a guarantee. First, who wouldn't want to play Elvis? It's the role of a lifetime, right? You get offered that. We want you to play Elvis. You're going to do it, right? Role of a lifetime, no doubt. Good for Austin. But there is a number two. Everybody is a critic. Even me. We're talking about the king. Numero uno. Elvis. Now, we all know the king had the voice, but he also had the look. Right? Will the film be good enough to overcome what every actor that has played Elvis in the past had to endure? Right? The critics. And I mean, it couldn't have been easy playing Elvis. Elvis had the look. He had the voice. I'm going to get back to that. But he had the look. Right? Now, here's the crazy part, because look, so many Elvis fans out there. And if you're going to play Elvis on the big screen, they expect, because Elvis is in our heads, the eyes, the thing that he was Elvis. So no matter who you are, it doesn't matter. You're not Elvis. And so you're going to sit and go, well, I mean, it's okay, man, but no, it's not Elvis. And that's where it's at. But what about the vocals? Let's say you overcome the look, right? But because here's the crazy part. While Elvis's own vocals were used in the second half of the movie, Austin Butler sings the early songs. Now, I'm going to stretch things a bit here, but if you squint your eyes just a little bit, you squint your eyes, the real Austin Butler, not the Elvis version that's in the movie, but the real Austin Butler, you just look at him, he's kind of got an Elvis vibe to him. He really does. So I think he was casted correctly, but he plays guitar and he sings and he's a great actor, right? So maybe, just maybe, this is going to be a cool flick. Now, Austin singing Elvis's early stuff, and I don't know how far the early stuff is. I guess he's lip syncing the second half of the movie, right? Oh man, but it's the decisions that were made. We'll have to wait. But I know that there's a lot of Elvis fans, real Elvis fans out there, and I'm one of them. All right, and for me to say that I've been a fan since I was a kid, and that I've been to Graceland a few times, and all Elvis fans out there pretty much say the same things, and I'm not unique. But for me, and at my age, right? I was there. It all got real for me back in 1973 with Aloha from Hawaii. And up to that point, I was listening to Elvis, had the 45s and you know, my parents' house and things. And I was checking it. I was an Elvis fan. But man, 1973, I was there. Watched it live on TV. Aloha from Hawaii via satellite. And that was a game changer. And immediately after that, my best friend, John Dubrava, who lived across the street from us in Waukegan at the time, we were able to, I think it was the day it was released, we got the album Aloha from Hawaii, that double album, and we wore that thing out. And I would sit there and air guitar. And John had a real guitar, and I would air guitar, and the real guitar had a telescope on a tripod, and that was my microphone. And I would do that entire double album back to back, and I would sit there and lip sync Elvis, and it was just in my head. To this day, I have the DVD Aloha from Hawaii via satellite. And I got the old version of the DVD. I guess the Elvis Corporation or whatever stopped that version of the DVD. I happen to have it. And I also have the dress rehearsal from the night before. I've got that on DVD. That's a rare thing. Elvis is in my head. This movie is a big deal. I'm looking forward to it. We're going to have to wait. I'm excited. And just maybe Austin Butler is going to pull this off. We're going to see. Tom Hanks. I guess he plays Colonel Tom Parker. Top shelf all the way down. We're going to find out. I'm excited. Elvis releases this Friday. Yeah. Normally I'm talking about time travel or UFOs right now. What would tip that over? Elvis. There you go. Thank you so much, Ray Hobbs. There it is. That's the album cover. Man, with the Telstar satellite right there. Man, thank you for that, Ray. This is Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, Karen Dahlman is here. We are going to do a full-on A to Z, the History of Ouija 101 masterclass. There will be a pop quiz. We've got a lot to pack into the show tonight. We're going to get it all done. And tomorrow night, David Palmer is here. Oh, man. What a great week. Last night, Cruz. Tonight, Karen A. Dahlman. Tomorrow night, David Palmer. That's why this show is not only the best, but you are the most spoiled audience in all of the world. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black. I'll be right back with Karen A. Dahlman. It's going down tonight. It's all Ouija all night long. Stay with me.
This is Nicole Church, daughter of you-know-who, and you're listening to Fade to Black on JimmyChurchRadio.com and the Game Changer Network.
You're listening to Jimmy Church and Fade to Black on the X.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Fade to Black will now pause for alien identification.
The station that knocks the net.
When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Yes, Rivermoon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black Blend from River Moon Coffee. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today.
This is the only way forward.
This is Fade to Black. Make contact.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and you can get our podcast for just $2 per month. All you have to do is click on the podcast banner over at jimmychurchradio.com. Hello, Fadernauts. Jimmy Church here. You've seen me with my Thunderstorm. Now you can purify the air in your home and get healthy, clean, fresh-smelling air and eliminate odors just like I do right here in the bunker. The EdenPURE Thunderstorm uses oxy technology that naturally sends out O3 molecules into the air, which seek out odors and air pollutants in your home and destroys them. It's called a thunderstorm because it purifies the air just like after a thunderstorm. And right now, you can save $200 on an EdenPURE Thunderstorm 3-pack for whole home protection. With this special offer, you're getting 3 units for under $200. Seriously. Go to EdenPureDeals.com and use Fader3. Shipping is free and it's easy. Just scroll down. You'll see my name right there, Jimmy Church. Click on it and get your deal today. That's EdenPureDeals.com.
Do you have an interest in the paranormal? Then you'll love the UnXNetwork.com. The X is your streaming audio and video for everything supernatural, strange, and mysterious, like UFOs, Bigfoot, ghosts, and so much more. From hosts like Jimmy Church, Whitley Strieber, Micah Hanks, and Christina Gomez. Visit the UnXNetwork.com show page for a complete list of all the paranormal programs you'll find on the X. Be sure to follow us on Twitter for updates at KUNXDB. Follow our Facebook group, UnX Network. Find the podcast on Spotify, iHeart, Audible, and Apple Podcast. It's time.
It's new.
It's the X.
9 out of 10 geneticists agree.
Fade to Black is not your father's radio show on the Game Changer Radio Network.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner from Anvil, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
What's up? I'm Chris. What up? This is Kyle Manson. You're listening to Jimmy Church Radio.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black, I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Here's my Thunderbird. It's always here. It's right. You can't even hear it. Can't hear it. Make your house smell like Graceland. After a thunderstorm. Right there. Links are below. 3-pack special. Incredible. Tonight, Karen Dahlman is here. And she's a published author. She's a licensed professional counselor, psychic reader, noted Ouija practitioner, and host of Created Visions TV. She serves as an office and director of the Talking Board Historical Society. On and off the board, she is showcased internationally all around the world at popular paranormal conferences, on shows, streaming shows, TV, all that stuff. Regular guest on Coast to Coast AM, Fade to Black, and other radio shows. And Karen is the best at this. And she does push the boundaries of Ouija, and she holds a master's degree from the University of New Mexico and is an experienced in hypnosis, past life regression, channeling, and psychic readings. All that and much more. And tonight we're doing a History of Ouija 101 masterclass. And I would like to welcome back to Fade to Black. I just smile every time I see her. Karen A. Dahlman. Karen, how are you?
I'm doing great, Jimmy. So great to be back with you. And I want to do a shout out to the Fadernauts. And I also want to say to everybody, happy summer solstice.
Yes. And I posted a picture. They reopened Stonehenge. And yeah, you should thousands of it was incredible. And I posted that this morning. I wanted to, you may not remember. Do you know Do you know how we met?
As I recall, we met at the Conscious Life Expo. We were in that special room where we had like a little party with George, Nori, and you were there. And I go up to you and I go, "Hey, Jimmy, I'm Karen A. Dahlman. I wanted to meet you."
Yeah,
we're back friends with George.
George. It was really funny. George introduced us. We were talking. George and I were talking about you. I think you saw George and I looking at you. And then we were alone back there. It was just you, George, and I, and a couple of other people. But that's how we met. That's how we met that day.
That's right. It's been a long time. It's been great.
That was a lot of fun. That was a long time ago. Can't believe it. This is 2022. Let's not forget. But every show that we have done with you over the years, and I don't know how many shows now that we have done together. It's been a lot, and so many just epic moments on the show. And I had over the last couple of months, I started getting emails. Jimmy, when are you going to have Karen back on the show? And I thought, is Karen telling people to email me? Is that and they were just coming in. And then I was out. I was doing some stuff a couple of weeks ago, and I was in Detroit. And somebody came up to me in Detroit. When's the next Ouija show with Karen Dahlman?
Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you, guys.
And I was like, you know what? It's we've got to do this now. And everybody's been asking about you and wanting to do this. We've just had such great shows, but I wanted to do something different tonight, which is you have not only you're on the board of directors, the world's largest Ouija board. You remember that?
How can I forget that? I was there.
Yeah, and did we broadcast live from there? Did I bring you in?
No, but we talked about a little bit on your show when I was on, a little bit about the aftermath. We actually ended up in Ripley's Believe It or Not book. So we're in there right in the center of it. And that board was over 9,000 pounds.
How can I forget that? And so you have one of the most amazing collections of boards, and we're going to go through all of that tonight, everybody. This is very exciting. Planchettes, other stuff too as well, and we're going to go through all of that. And because we are doing video, that everybody can see this go down. This is a very special night tonight, and you can see what's going on behind Karen. And I have I don't know this officially, but I suspect that is just a small part of what you have in your collection. And yeah, I can only imagine. And the planchettes and everything else. But we're going to go through that. I know that you have some very rare and one of a kind things. We're going to go through that and the history of it. And then we'll talk about some special moments that you've had with the Ouija over the years and trade some stories. So let's get this. I'm excited. This is a different sort of show, and for everybody else, a real education tonight on the history of Ouija. Now, has it been? Let's start with some foundational stuff, if we may. Yeah, has it always been called the Ouija?
No. In fact, it started about mid-1800s, so 1880s, I should say at that, after the spiritualist movement had already kicked in the United States. Now, there was spiritism overseas in France happening, but spiritualism kicked off in 1848, upper state New York, with the Fox sisters. So then we had our Civil War, we had mass carnage, we had a lot of disease, people lived to be about 50 years old and would die in childbirth, all that stuff. So around mid-1880s, is when all of a sudden you start seeing this peculiar device show up with people at their homes. And it was just this grassroots movements that started in Ohio. And these were called either talking boards or spirit boards, not Ouija. boards. And we'll talk about Ouija versus Ouija in a moment. But it started about 1880. Now, how do we know this? People at the Talking Board Historical Society, or historians, dug up all this research over the years. And they discovered that right around 1880, there was this articles that went viral. Back then, if you go viral, it's in like the Boston Globe, some kind of, magazine or periodical or newspaper. And it went viral and said, the craziest craze in the state of Ohio. People are using their cutting boards and wooden tools with numbers and letters on them, and they're moving around and spelling. It's crazy. They're getting answers. So what happened was you have a bunch of businessmen who come together and a businesswoman. Now, the businesswoman was just found out more recently by Robert Murch, who is the president of the Talking Board Historical Society. We didn't know there was a woman involved as part of the business group of people who developed the Ouija. Well, what happened was in 1886, the W.S. Reed Toy Company had created something, and they called it the Witch Board. Now, how do we know this? Because they wrote a letter and they sent it to Grover Cleveland, President Grover Cleveland, when he got married to this younger woman, so much younger than himself. And they sent it to him and said, dear President, we give this gift to you and we hope you can use it and you enjoy it for years to come. And he basically writes back and says back to them, dear sirs, we appreciate your ingenuity, but I hardly do think I will use this to consult about the task in our world or for a presidential. So what's interesting is we know that this happened because when the letter was sent from W.S. Reed Toy Company to the president, they sent it to the Boston Globe. So it went viral again, and everybody read this. And when the president sent his letter back, everybody took that and put it again in the Boston Globe. That is when the Talking Board was first manufactured. We're talking 1886, but it was not the Ouija.
Now, we're going to get to Ouija in a bit. Let's back up then. If that's the case, right here, the layout of the board as a spirit board over in Europe and other places, was it fundamentally the same design with the alphabet and numbers and yes and no and maybe even goodbye?
Well, when it started out, and I'll show you an example, I drew one on cardboard. This is what one of the original earlier ones might have looked like that they were using with cutting boards. People would take cutting boards, or they would just take their table and write the letters and numbers on it. Sorry, I got so much stuff here, you guys. I have so many things to show you. It's not even funny. So here's one I drew up. This is an example of what one would have looked like. Maybe just yes, no, goodbye, good night, some kind of salutation, the numbers and letters. And it wasn't anything really fancy. It wasn't like something they were mass producing yet. People were just putting this as cutting boards, cut on it later on their table, and they would turn a shot glass upside down, or that was mostly in the Europe would do that. They would take something like a basket and turn the basket upside down. They learned that from France, and it would move around, spelling out things. They'd use pencils, different kinds of pointing devices. But I have to say this, the reason why it evolved to a talking board is because people were already starting to put letters down. Like back then you had children's alphabet boards. And that's how children would learn the alphabet. It looks just like a Ouija board, really, you guys. Might have the letters on it or something like that, maybe some numbers. And people would use that, or they would just make their own up on a cutting board. Mm-hmm. And they just decided they would try to see what would communicate. And all of a sudden, things are coming through. They're getting messages, and they believed they were talking to spirits, especially people that might have died in their family from the Civil War, or people who died, like I mentioned earlier, people didn't live that long back then. And so they wanted to make that connection. So that's really where it started. It wasn't until the business people I told you about that got together and decided to create something called the Ouija board, which is what I have behind me mostly.
Now, was there anything negative about spirit boards back then? Was there, any darkness around it, or was it just a thing, and there wasn't much concern about it?
Well, when first the craze started in the 1880s, it wasn't like it was this negative thing. But however, people who were doing spiritualist camps and spiritualist readings. There was a lot of hocus pocus and fakery. And so a lot of the religious movements and people would say, oh, that's pooey. That doesn't really work. It's not good. It's an evil. So there was always something about, you can't talk to the spirits, but only your reverend or preacher or a person who's, trained in it can speak to the spirits. So there's always been that kind of stigma that's come along with it over the years.
Okay, so it's America. It's the United States. People like to make money, right? It's a capitalistic society, and they see the spirit board, and eventually somebody's going to go, there's a market for this. We can sell these, and that's what happened next.
That's right. So the gentleman's name was Charles Kennard. He had a company he started the company called the Kennard Novelty Company, and he was one of the first ones. There's a story about where the board really originated, but he was in charge of the Ouija people that came together to create the Ouija, and I'll explain that. So this board back here is my oldest board. It's circa 1892-93. The board was originally created in 1890. They didn't put a name on it, which was when it says Ouija trademark, until 1891 when they got the patent. This one would have came out right after that. And this is what they look like, basically. A little star in the corner. You might have this little crescent moon and star. And this is actually, guys, a full moon. It's not the sun. And I'll talk about that later when it became the sun. So it was a full moon and a crescent moon. And this is what it looked like. This is the oldest one in my collection. My colleagues who are also collectors in the Talking Board Historical Society have a lot more boards, Jimmy. I have at least 85. They have a lot more than I do, and they have some really great ones. I just started collecting in the last 15 years. A lot of these people have been collecting for 20, 25 years. Some of them go back 30, 35, where you can get some boards for a great price. Anyway, this is my oldest board, but this is the group, the Charles Kennard Novelty Company, that came together. Several of them. William Fuld is a very popular name many of you will hear about. He was actually the patent attorney who was the one that took it to the patent house to get it patented. And his sister-in-law, her name is Helen Peters. Well, Helen Peters, then she got married to a gentleman, Nosworthy. Now, she was actually lost to history until Robert Murch dug her up and found her family. And I'm going to jump forward to 2000 and was it 18? We got together and gave her a gravestone. She had no gravestone, and that's actually sitting in the Fairmont Cemetery in Denver. We can get to that later. Anyway, so they came together and said, let's take this craze and make some money. Just like you said, it's about capitalism and making money. So they drew this up similar to this, and they wanted to get it patented trademark. The story goes, and this is just a story that was handed down from the families of the people who created the board, such as Helen Peters' family, William Fuld. The story goes like this. William Fuld and Miss Peters, who is actually considered a gifted medium, went to the Patent and Trademark Office in D.C., and they wanted to meet up with all the different patent officers. They're like, hey, we want to get this patented and trademarked. And they're like, no. Finally, the head guy comes out. He goes, look, you don't know me. I don't know you. I've never seen you before. You don't know my name. If that contraption can spell out my name, I'll give you your patent. So guess what it did? It spelled out his name. He said, here's your patent. Get out of here, basically. But now that's a story. We don't have the facts behind to prove that, but that is one of the stories the family has passed down over the years.
Now, if somebody is collecting, because what you just showed us, the one from 1891, that's the real deal. If somebody starts collecting these, what kind of value, what is something like that worth, a board from 1891?
It depends what shape it's in. Mine's in decent shape. I've seen some that are like pristine. We're talking thousands of dollars. Some of these boards can go for several thousand. I mean, there's so many different types that were made early 1890s up to the early 1900s, and they're just incredible. Or there was a run of only so many. Like one of my colleagues has a metal board that was made before the war, and then they had to take all the scrap metal, and most of them got thrown back to be made into bullets and tanks and stuff. Right. And there's only a few of those out there. And he happens to have one, and it lights up. It's pretty cool. There's so many variations. Now I'm just talking Ouija. What happened was when Ouija got so popular, all these companies in the late 1890s popped up to think, I want to steal part of the market. I mean, that's what we do in capitalism. Right. I'm going to steal part of the market. And it turned out none of them ever could compete with the Ouija. They could not compete with it. The Ouija became a name almost like you hear like Kleenex. We call almost every tissue Kleenex. It was that popular.
Well, every house in the United States has got one, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah, I can't think of one. I've got one, right? Everybody's got one. Now, okay, and it's 300. How many 300 million houses in the United States? That's a pretty good chunk of change, and that's only one board. There's multiples. Now,
Right.
okay, so let's back up. Ouija.
Right.
Let's get there so we can continue with this foundation.
Yeah.
And was the original patent Ouija?
The original patent was pronounced Ouija, and they put a phonetic spelling on the back of the boxes, such as what some of the planchettes might come in. Here's a planchette from about 1898. I have an 1898 board. You can't see it. It's up here. Oh, it's up there. Here's my 1898. I have a lot of old boards. And this is one of the original planchettes. And we call this the paddle planchette because it looks like a, ping pong paddle. But
Right.
so on the back of the box, on some of the original planchettes or boards, it put the phonetic spelling of Ouija. Now, Ouija does not mean we in Spanish and ja in German. Yes. That has never been true. And they dug it up. The Talking Board Historical Society dug this up and found out what that really means and where it really came from. But yes, it's pronounced Ouija. Now, because of pop culture and enough people saying Ouija, you can say it interchangeably. You'll hear me mostly saying Ouija when I think about it. And other times I'll just say Ouija real fast. You can say it either way, but Ouija is the actual pronunciation when it was first patented and trademarked.
Now, if I'm hanging out with a bunch of you Ouijas, right? If I'm hanging out and I need to be cool in the conversation, I'm not going to say Ouija, right?
We'll look at you and go, he's too new to this. He's new to this.
Right. Okay. So, and you and I have talked about this for so many years, and I still hear you're back on the show, and I'm saying Ouija.
It's okay.
It's Ouija.
I'm not going to correct you. It's fine. You can say Ouija, but there's still some boxes. I had one here I was looking at. I think it was this one. This is my glow in the dark, a very modern board. Came out in 1999. I think is this one that says Ouija on it? It may not have been in here. Well, I have so many boards around me, you guys, right now to show you. But it did say, and this was back in the 1990s, it was still pronounced as Ouija. I think it's just more in the 2000s. People just go quick, Ouija, 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 and there's some songs about it, and I think they say Ouija and all that stuff. So you'll hear a mixture. We wouldn't make fun of you, Jimmy.
Now I'm going out on a limb here, but I'm thinking that in your kitchen, next to your cutlery, you have a Ouija cutting board.
No, I don't. But I'll tell you what I do have. I have all kinds of Ouija mugs and Ouija cups and a little bit of Ouija everything. And I have a Ouija tray. It's right back here. You can see part of it right. It's backwards, you guys, right there. Haskellite tray. They made one in the 40s that you carry it out and might have your drinks on it. You might do aperitifs. You might do a after dinner drink, or it might just be coffee and trumpets and whatever. But you bring it out and you would just eat that and then go play the board afterwards, right on top of the serving tray.
Now, when we come back, we're going to go through your board collection. Are they in different countries?
They are.
So different alphabets, right? Different languages on the boards.
Yep.
And what about and I want to see some of those. Now, what about with countries that may not like this? Has Ouija ever been illegal? Are there some countries where it's not allowed?
Well, you know what? It's not that it's not been allowed. It's that it's been shunned or put down or stigmatized because of certain religious sects. That's typically what does it. So you'll get maybe some more Catholic practicing countries or superstitious countries that would say, I would never touch one. So you'll see a lot less there. Today, it's really changed. The internet and movies from Hollywood and everything else that's going on around the world. As you guys know, we can talk to everybody at any moment and share stuff. And so you're going to find Ouija boards coming out of almost every country. I sell my book, The Spirits of Ouija, I have here. I sell it to almost every country. And sometimes it'll sell a lot in like Korea or China. And I'm like, what do? They must have done a talk on it or something. I'm selling like hundreds of them or something. It's weird. So you'll find that it is in every country now. But originally it came out of the United States And then William Fuld, who got the patent and trademark, got another one and sold it to Canada so they could actually create Ouija boards too. And so the Canadian has one almost as long as we have. So it's Canada and the United States where it started first.
Now, I have a memory. I want you to confirm it for me. This is a number of years ago, over 20 years ago. And I was at Toys R Us. I'm with my daughter, Nicole. Mm-hmm. And we're goofing around, and she comes up to me. She's got, I think it was like a Barbie Ouija board, and she's like 3, right?
Yeah.
4.
Yeah.
Daddy, I want this. And I looked, and I went, no, I really want this. And we didn't get it. But my memory was it was like a Barbie Ouija board. Was there a Barbie Ouija board or something similar?
Similar. What it is, it's a pink Ouija board and an attaché case made for girls. Do we have time to show that right now, or should we wait till after?
One? Of course you do. Yeah, let me see it.
Okay, so here it is, you guys. This is the pink Ouija. It comes with a cute little attaché case, okay? And it comes with, listen, this is so fun. All right, so mine has never been opened. It comes with a set of cards, and the cards give you 72 cards with 2 questions on each card to ask. For example, here's one you'd like, Jimmy. It says, will I ever be a famous musician?
Wow.
Who would do anything for me? These are little questions for little girls, they say. And then here's the pink planchette.
Right.
Okay. Right. And then here's the board itself. Now I got to tell you, there's a quick story about this. There's one of the stories I want to share with you guys because this is pretty.
Sure, you want to open this on the air? It's never been opened.
Oh no, I've taken it. I've used it before. You can watch my shows where I do it. I just keep it in its attaché case. I like to keep it pristine. It really was, when it came to me, it was not used. Okay, so this board came out. What year was it? 2008. Came out in 2008, and what happened was religious groups started getting really upset. They said, no, you can't be doing this to girls and little kids. And we don't like Ouija board anyway. They said it's sinister. They boycotted against Hasbro. At this point, since 1999, Hasbro took it from Parker Brothers. And that was in 99. And so they started creating this board. And they said, we don't want you. We're going to boycott Hasbro. All the other games Hasbro sold. So in 2012, they removed it. So if you can get one of these boards, you guys get it because they're worth something. Now, in 2013, they replaced it with this board. Here's the box. This board. And this one comes with a planchette that actually lights up. Can you see that? It lit up purple.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And it goes over this thing, and there's secret messages in here. You can see them when you go over it. Anyway, this is a darker, deeper, more sinister looking board than the pink one, but this is what they came out with in 2013 to replace the pink one.
And I guess everybody's cool with that. Very interesting.
They are.
Yeah, let's take a break right here. Our guest tonight, the one and only Karen A. Dahlman. We are doing a Ouija Masterclass 101, the history of Ouija. It's going to be a great show. Everybody stay right there. I am your host, Jimmy Church. I'm going to take a quick break. This is Fade to Black. Get ready. This is amazing. I'll be right back. Stay with us.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network.
Your 1 million gigawatt paranormal powerhouse, KUNX-DB, VX.
2022 MUFON Symposium is in Denver, Colorado, July 7th through 10th, and it's on. If you can't make it to Denver, get the live stream. You can watch it live and anytime later. This year's theme is UFOs in the Spotlight. Our speaker lineup is incredible. Join Cheryl Jones, Peter Robbins, Michael Schratt, Kathleen Martin, Tom Reed, Paul Hynek, Peter Davenport, Dave Scott, Craig Campabasso, Donald Schmidt, Mark D'Antonio, and me, Ron James, for an exciting inside look at my new film, Newsflash, Congressman Tim Burchett has just confirmed that he will be making an exclusive live presentation at MUFON 2022. Tim is the most outspoken member of Congress on the UAP topic. You do not want to miss what he has to say. Sign up for our live stream. Get all 3 days of the MUFON Symposium, a 1-year subscription to MUFON TV, and an awesome free gift. What's the free gift? Find out at MUFONSymposium.com/Jimmy. That's MUFONSymposium.com/Jimmy. You do not want to miss a thing.
Hello, Fadernauts. Jimmy Church here, and I know what you're thinking. Lately, Jimmy sounds so fresh. He's so alert. He's so now. Well, that's because of biotech research and their new supplement, BrainPEAK 9. BrainPEAK 9 contains 9 nutrients that may help support brain function of memory, concentration, recall, and improve focus. Other memory supplements can cost as much as $129 for a 60-day supply. But right now, for a limited time, if you use the discount code FADER, that's right, FADER, just for the Fadernauts, you'll get a 60-day supply for just $49. There's no better time than right now to see what others have been raving about. Help improve your brain function. Go to BrainPEAK9.com and enter the discount code FADER. That's right, for the Fadernauts. That's BrainPEAK9.com. Discount code FADER. And the links are over at JimmyChurchRadio.com. Click on it now. Seriously.
This is Billy Carson, founder and CEO of ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. ForbiddenKnowledge.tv is the fastest growing and one of the most watched networks in the world. And I would like to personally invite you to check out our expanding library of TV, film, lectures, and special presentations. ForbiddenKnowledge.tv has over 6,000 videos covering lost history, health, UFOs, spirituality, and our future. We are committed to our community, and with my personal invitation, you can right now get your own free 30-day membership at ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. Your own library of information starts today at ForbiddenKnowledge.tv.
Because you never got that pony you always wanted. Damn it. Jimmy Church and Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network.
Listen, I know, and you know, that you've always wanted your first crystal skull. Or maybe you're a collector just like me, but you just don't know where to go to find the real thing. Then I met Carolyn Ford over at EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com. Carolyn is the guardian of Einstein, one of the most respected ancient crystal skulls in the world. All of her unique skulls have been imprinted sitting with Einstein in his sacred lodge and are carved from the finest gemstone and materials. Imprinting is the process of receiving the ancient wisdom from the master skull or master computer, Einstein, the ancient crystal skull. To see Carolyn's current collection of crystal skulls, just visit her store at EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com or click on the banner over on our site. Don't forget to use the promo code Jimmy at checkout to receive 10% off of your order today. That's promo code Jimmy. Finding your first or next crystal skull is easy. Just visit EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com.
Hello, I'm Katie, and you're listening to my main man, Jimmy Church, on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Hi, this is Ray Hobbs here, repping the planet, and you're listening to my good friend, Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
This is Toby Kebbell. You're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com. Don't hurt me, Jimmy. I'm only little. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier. And this is Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers. We're the Honey Brothers. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier. And I'm Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers. And you're listening to Jimmy Church. The Revolution.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and you can become an official Fadernaut by just going to our membership section at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Hello, this is Serena Wright Taylor from Conscious Life Expo, and you're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church, who holds the Lucky Pony record for the best astrological chart since 1963. True story.
This is Micah Hanks of the Gralien Report, and you're listening to Jimmy Church on Fade to Black.
Welcome back. Karen A. Dahlman is with us tonight. And right now we've got a special going on with BrainPEAK 9 every day, 2 a day. Absolutely incredible. Click on the link below. Memory, thought, concentration, all of that. I'm serious. Everybody's been saying, Jimmy, you seem so fresh. BrainPEAK 9. It's no joke. Check it out. The links are below. And also, before I bring Karen back in, I've been talking about this for a while, and I can't put it on. But Ken, this is for you. That's Ken's company right there, Ken Priest. Rye Southern Biscuits. There it is right there. I've got my own Ken Priest hat. Ken, take a picture, take a screenshot. All right. I'm so proud of that hat. Our guest tonight, Karen Dahlman. Tonight is a Ouija 101 Masterclass, the history of Ouija. I've got my Ouija mug. Don't think I don't. I've got
That's
my
right.
Ouija mug. Yep. Now, the patent went down in 1891. You've got a board from 1891. What's that?
1892, 93.
Okay.
Yeah.
But your board is from 1891. Did the patent also include the planchette?
It did. And this is what it would look like. It was a planchette just like this one. This one only has 3 legs, but it would have had 4 legs on it. And so this one did come with that old board. So it would have looked like this. And as they start, notice this now, watch. They start getting not as tall. See, this is like 1898 now. And then eventually they get more like this, which you're used to seeing, where they're very short. And where you have it today, it's just like this. See, you can see how the progression of how they change. When it's high like this, what I found, because Jimmy, I use all my boards. We did messages on this show before. I use all my boards. When it's higher like this, I find that it's kind of like, it's not as sturdy. When it starts to move, it's kind of like being in those old Jeeps that can tip over quickly if you turn a corner. I used to have one of those old Jeeps. And then when they get lower like this, your center of gravity, it's a little better. So I think about like the things like that because I do use my boards and I use the planchettes. And for example, I talked to you earlier about that light up planchette. I just put it back in the box. It's so heavy. It was horrible. Everybody complained about it. So they re-released that board and they made it with the smaller, and I have one over there somewhere, a smaller, shorter planchette like this. And it worked wonderfully after that. So you'll see them doing these boards, and who owns it now is Hasbro. They will take a board from an olden days and they'll bring it back because they'll make it like a retro board. For example, this is not too long ago. This is not by Hasbro. This is by Winning Moves. But they got the rights from Hasbro to make this one, which looks more retro, and bring it back because the board started getting very different. All different kinds of ways of showing Ouija. If you could even see back here, all those are Ouijas. These are Swamis. That's a whole nother story. But the other ones are Ouijas. You can see they're all so different. My preference is the older style. I do like how they changed over the years.
Let me see what's your favorite board?
Okay, my favorite board all time, which you see Rodney and I use, is this one because I love the size of it. It's huge. This is actually a William Fold board. They owned it. They bought it from Charles Kennard, or not Ouija Novelty Company, Charles Kennard Novelty Company. They owned it the longest. And then it went into hands of Parker Brothers. This is before Parker Brothers. I love this one. The size of it. The planchette works nicely on here. Has room to not fall off. But my other board I really, really like is this one right here. This is the one that Santa Claus gave me in 1973. This is my original Ouija board. And this is a Parker Brothers. They started making this one in 81. So, they started making this one in 1967 when they bought it in 66 from William Fold. Then they started making this type of Ouija.
So, okay, take me through the history of ownership here. Fold, who did the patent, right?
But he didn't own the company. It was Charles Kennard,
right?
Who brought in Fold as one of the business partners.
And Fold, the patent was in Fold's name, though.
Correct, because he was the patent attorney who knew how to do that. Correct. Right. He was one of the original investors. There was a group of, I think, 5 or 6, and the women, and also Miss Helen Peters, I told you about, was one of the original investors too. And it just started changing names. So what happened is Fold, Elijah Bond we're talking about. Elijah Bond was a patent attorney. It's in his name. William Fold was somebody who came into the company as a varnisher. He worked with the original company, and he worked his way up. At the end, what happened was Bowie of the knife company, he actually sold all of his stocks and gave it over to Fold. Fold took ownership of it. That's how the Fold family got it. That's how William Fold got it. Now, he had a brother named Isaac Fold. They had a huge falling out. When they had a falling out, they parted way, and Isaac started making a different type of board, where Fold was making this board. His brother's board could not compete. That started a family feud that lasted up to the 2000s.
Yeah, that's what I read. I remember going through the history of this. And yeah, you're right. I'm all mixed up. Elijah was the patent attorney.
Yeah, Elijah Bond was. And by the way, if you see that, you go online right now and you can do a search for it, you guys out there listening and watching. You look up Bond's Ouija board gravestone, and you'll see it pop up. That is the beginning, the loose beginning of the Talking Board Historical Society. There were collectors that came together, people who really enjoyed the history of Ouija, and they gave him a gravestone. He did not have one. So they actually gave him a Ouija board, and that, which is very fitting, because he was the one that got the patent. And
I remember the pictures. I posted it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was very cool. Okay, so now did the boards change because of the way it took off in from 1900 to 1920? Right, it was like this was a big time thing. It was a phenomenon. Did the boards change, and do you have any examples of anything from the 1920s? I'm just curious.
I do. I want to show you this. I want to show you how this board changed from the symbols, and I'm going to pull a few boards here to show you this example. And this board included. Yeah, and so I'm going to take you from the very beginning, 1890. I'm going to show you these faces. I want you to look at this face right here. So when the board came out, you guys, everybody thinks it's a sun. Oops, there. I'm sorry. This is all backwards for me. That's a sun. The reality is this. It was a full moon. It was a full moon, and then a crescent moon with a star on the other corner. And so what happened? This was in let me see, what year was it? 1917 is when all of a sudden the moon gets a face. It's still a moon, but now it has a face.
Mm-hmm.
And then it wasn't until 1944 the sun gets a face, and now the moon has a face. Right. And William Fold did this. William Fold changed it. This was Charles Kinnard, and this would have been William Fold too, changing it, and this is what the fold ended up being. So this became the look of Ouija for many, many years. Now you're asking me about the Ouija and changing over the years. Got to understand what also changed was just way talking boards look. So for example, in the 1920s, 30s, 40s, there was such a rise in popularity of the Eastern theme, like the Egyptian tombs, the Far East, India. It was like all just really cool. So you'll see a lot of boards. Here's an example of one. The Mystic Tray I talked about earlier. Haskellite made this one. If you look at it, you've got some stuff from the Far East going on here. Mm-hmm. You do have a little witch in this corner, from a Disneyland kind of witch. But this is the serving tray I told you about. You can actually bring stuff out, serve it, and then use this board. So this is like a 1940s board. Now, I love it. I got to show you this progression. So I have this old Swami. And look, this again, the Middle Eastern theme. You'll see a lot of this in the 40s. This is a 1944 board, and the company that made it is called Giftcraft. Now, this is not in the best condition. It has like a rip over here, but I don't care. I rescue boards. I have boards that have been used as cutting boards. I think they're all beautiful in their own way. They tell a story. So, Jimmy, you're going to like this. So it's made by Giftcraft. The address is 666 Lakeshore Drive, Chicago.
Shut up.
No, that's legit address. Now watch this. This board was so popular, they brought it back. Another company made it just recently. I think I got this in 2017, or maybe it's 15, somewhere in that time, called the Swami. See, they're exactly the same. It's just that now this company's making it, and they brought it back. The same images. And actually, it's more of a wooden board. This one's more compressed particle. This is a better board. And I love the planchette. I didn't get the planchette of the old one, but the planchette looked like this. and it's just a lovely,
Oh,
lovely.
that is so cool. Is the
Yeah.
address 666 Lakeshore Drive on the new version too?
No, it's a whole different company that did it.
Okay. What
A
would
whole new distribution company that did it, so they don't have the same address. That address is now gone. But there was weird things like that you might find about these boards, like where they were made or what company or the address. There's all these weird kind of things. But that's what I like about collecting. You get to witness all this, and you get to be. It's part of history. The Ouija really reflects pop culture, and that's been going on since the day it was created. And as you can see, as people were more interested in the United States about the Far East, you start seeing the shift of all the graphics on it. And then, like I showed you, this changes of the face. The board is always getting a facelift, if you will, and even to this day. And so you'll nowadays, because movies are so popular, you'll get boards that are like named after a movie or a famous person, like the Bowie board, or you'll get something like a Stranger Things board. There's all these theme boards now because of what's going on in shows and on TV as well.
Now, were there, and I'm thinking about, the 1920s when Egypt was such a big deal.
Yes.
Did they have boards with an Egyptian theme?
Absolutely. There's the Egyptian board. I do not have Egyptian board. I have the Ouija Queen Crystal Gazer, the same era. No, but what's that one up there? That's another one too. Yeah, there was a whole Egyptian theme that went on. I mean, there's all kinds of Egyptian boards. I do not have one in my collection, but my colleagues do. And there's so many different themes. Here you go, you guys. If you would like to go look at the boards and how they changed over the years, my good friend and colleague, Gene Orlando, he's been on my show, Creative Visions TV, and we do all these little specials about the different boards. He owns the world's first a talking board museum online. It's called museumoftalkingboards.com. Go there. You'll learn so much about all these boards. It's crazy. And he's one of the original historians from the Talking Board Historical Society. And I've worked with him over the years, and it's been an honor and a pleasure.
Museum of Talking Boards,
plural.com. Now, somebody asked if there is an alien board. Well, look, here's one that's space themed. Now, look, I didn't make this. People make their own boards, and I want everybody to understand that. You have a theme you like, make your own. This one came with a cute little blue planchette. My friend Shasta Michaels made this. She started to sell these online. She made just a bunch of cute ones. Like here's a little cute pinky one, and here's one with like some hearts on it and stuff. And these are what's nice. These are flexible. So I use as my traveling boards. So when I travel and I go to talks and I'm teaching workshops, I will let people use these because they're not going to break. They're not necessarily. I won't take some of these older boards with me,
right.
But you can make your own. And let me show you this, Jimmy. So years ago, and I've had this forever. Now listen, I love Trader Joe's. That's one of my stores I go to. But what I like about Trader Joe's, voila. Satanic sacks.
I just went to museumoftalkingboards.com, and when you go there, your mouse turns to a planchette.
Isn't that cool? Dean built that in the early 90s, and it's been around that long, and he adds to it. Now, this is fun, you guys. So when I would be at sleepovers as a kid, and I think I made this one, 12 or 15 years ago, I was at my house, and I was teaching a class. And I said, okay, you can do anything for a Ouija board. People go, I don't know how to make one. I go, watch. So I took a sack and just wrote the alphabet on there, the numbers. And then I said, you can take something like this. This is my True Whip, a vegan whipped cream because I'm a vegan. And you put that on there and it just, away it goes, So I use this for training purposes because you don't need a traditional Ouija board to do this work. It can work. Anything can work. You just got to make it and believe and trust your intentions with it.
Yeah, Joel just said that's how they Ouija in prison.
They probably put chalk marks, blood marks on the floor. Maybe, I don't know. Listen, I've seen the strangest things. I have a glass Ouija. I've seen metal Ouijas. I've seen them all. You just name it. Here, let me show you something else. This board, I love this. This is called a Pinji board. It's actually, watch this. It's actually made for a pendulum. Okay.
Oh.
But guess what? It can double easily as a Ouija board. Okay.
Let's talk about the planchette for a second.
All right, let's talk about that.
You just showed us some older ones in the meeting. I want to see your favorite planchette.
Okay, so all right, it's got to be this one. So one of my friends is an artist, and she made this round board back here. I don't know if you can see it, but it's actually a picture of a moon. It's called the Luna board, and she goes, "I have a surprise for you." And she started showing it to me. She goes, "And I'm not going to show you what the planchette's going to be, but one year when she was making this board, she some reason where she lived, it was in Tennessee. All of these Luna moths just died. It was like, I don't know. They just all showed up dead in her yard, in her neighbor's yard. So she felt badly about them and grabbed them and saved them. And then she made it's called the Luna Moth Planchette. There's actually a Luna Moth in resin in this.
Wow.
But this is beautiful. It goes on this board back here. It works lovely, and it points. Instead of having a hole to see through, it points.
Right.
And it works so lovely. So I really like this because it's the ingenuity behind it. It's very creative. And she found something that she thought it's dead, but it's beautiful and wanted to preserve it. And so she made only so many of these. And it's like, I love it. I love it.
Now, what about you? You brought up the weight earlier. Is that too heavy or is that okay?
No, that's okay. Now listen, you've seen Rodney and I work. We had no problem getting that heavy duty planchette to work. I'm going to show you some things. We've done some shows where we use things like this to push around as a planchette. I go, use this corner. We've used our mobile phone, use this corner. It'll move around. That's pretty heavy, right?
Right.
One of my friends, she creates her own boards. Her name is Nancy Bliss from the Yukon. She made a board that looks like a Ouija planchette.
Right.
And this is her. Look at this. This is her planchette. It goes over it. And this is a piece of geode. It has a hole in the middle. And that is her planchette. And even though it's heavy, it's not too heavy if you're pretty good at using this tool. So a lot of things can work. In fact, when I teach, I often bring with me the old CDs, you guys. I have a bunch of little ones I used to put my resume or my business on it. And I would use it to, instead of giving somebody a hard copy resume, I was cool, put this CD in there and you can, read about my company. But so I have those left over and they have a perfect hole in the middle. They're little and they work fantastically as a planchette. Now, my good friend Rick Schreck, who's the VP of the Talking Board Historical Society, makes a really cool board. It's up high. I can't grab it right now. But he takes embalming rails from embalming tables, Gleason Board Company, and made this coffin planchette. And there's even the embalming company on it. Here's another one he made.
Whoa. Pump the brakes there, chick.
This is out of an embalming table rail.
Embalming table?
Embalming table rail, both of these.
From a funeral home.
Correct. He ended up with a bunch of these, and he started making these, and he said, hey, who wants to buy them? And of course I do, because I love the energy.
Deceased people rested on that wood.
Correct.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So he's trying to find the spookiness in it, where when I can use any board and I don't get the spookiness, because you see me work, it's all about intentions. But some people want it to be spooky for them, and for me, it's not. You know me, it's not spooky. It's all like profound stuff from the guides.
You're not worried about something residual coming along with that?
Not at all. And you know why, Jimmy? We've talked about this before. And I've done the board with your daughter even, right? I sat down with friends.
You have.
Yeah. And the deal is this, it's really our intention. So I got to tell you the story, everybody. I was watching some show today on a gentleman who's talking about automatic writing. And I'm thinking, okay, this guy's pretty good. And he said, and so automatic writing, you guys, you will take I'm going to talk about that in a second. This is an automatic writer, but you could take a pen in your hand or a pencil and paper, and you let the spirits move and make it work. Okay.
My mom used to do that when I was a kid.
You and I discussed that. So what's the difference between this? This is my pen. This is my paper. And this is how it writes. Okay. There's no difference. So this guy's like automatic writing. It's all safe. It's all good. Ouija boards. And I'm like, what? It's the same concept. We're channeling. It's just what modality do you use to channel? Do you use your voice? Do you use a pendulum? Do you do tarot cards? Do you do oracle cards? Do you do the I Ching, the runes? What do you do? Or do you use a board maybe, or just your mind? So it's all the same concept. It's really your own intentions and what you believe about it. That's going to affect what you're going to get.
The planchette itself, with the modern boards, the plastic version, the one that I'm used to. Right. And how good is that? Because it's lighter, right? Is it easier for the novice to get that going?
I would suggest you start with that. I would suggest this is a great board. Winning Moves, Haverhill makes a good one too. That one I showed you, the old one, the glow in the dark board. They all come with planchettes like this. These are light. They have a little felt on the bottom. See that? The felt. And they just are so light. And this thing's not going to fall out. In the olden days, these are real metal. So I keep a little thing on it so they don't fall out. But these are real brass tabs. Kids could have swallowed them, eaten them. That's mine came with one of those. But these are so nice and light. Or like I said, get a CD, turn it over, and you have a whole instant hole in the middle to use. Now let me show you a different board. You asked me about boards with different kinds of letters and stuff on it. I'm going to show you a board here. Let's see the gentleman's name. It was just given to me. I just got it. I haven't even used it yet. He creates his own boards. His name is Tim Cheesebro of Singing Owl Crafts. And he made this runic board. There's ruins on it.
Oh, that is awesome.
Is that bad or what? Now he just this came with it. It's a little crystal thing. And I can put my finger on that and use that. Now I have not used this board yet. I'm waiting to use it with Rodney. I just got it.
Right. How is Rodney?
Hey, Rodney's great. Says hello to everybody. He's doing wonderful. We are in 2 different states now. When we do get together, a few months ago, we did use the Ouija, and it's more personal stuff. But yeah, we still do Ouija. Now, you guys, I want to show you. I have some Canadian boards. Remember I told you Canada was making them right about a year after we were making them because they got the patent and trademark rights to do that. So these are Canadian ones. These are more modern, 80s, 90s. You can see we on there and non and revoir. I'm not, you guys, I don't speak French. Sorry. They have Spanish boards that'll say hola, adios, and things like that. So you can get them in like slightly different languages, but our alphabet's the same. So that's going to look the same.
I can't wait. We're going to take a break right here. I can't wait to hang out with you again in Ouija in person. When I was a kid, and it seemed like girls were into Ouija more than boys, but this is, if that's just the way it is. But I remember I was over in another apartment in our apartment building, couple of young girls. I was 6, 7, 8. They break out the Ouija board and they're talking about it, and they put the planchette down and they put their hands on, and it started moving. And they screamed. They freaked out because they weren't moving it. And I saw the fight, the argument. You were pushing it. No, I wasn't. You were pushing it. It definitely moved. And I watched this. I didn't really understand what I was seeing. But you do have the ability to do this at any age. It is inside of us, right?
Thank you for saying that. I really almost wanted to start with that waiver disclaimer because as I mentioned about the guy talking about automatic writing, it comes from within us. Is it ideomotor? I don't believe so. It's us tapping into universal consciousness, us tapping into all that is energy, us tapping into source, our guides, our loved ones, and thus it comes through us. Now, it's an unconscious thing, and I'm not saying we're pushing it at all. I'm saying it takes over. It's not like the spirit goes in me, but the energy meets my energy, my partner's energy. It's like we raise our energy through our prayer we use, our breathing exercise, our intentions, and just the seriousness nature we do this tool, as you've seen me do with Rodney. And then we hook into the energy, and then the messages start pouring through. No different than a channeler, because we are channeling. And my tool, my theatrics, as Clyde Lewis likes to call it, is the board. That's my theatrics. Although you take the board away, we can still do the same work. I do it as a psychic reader. I do it as channeling. I could do automatic writing. I do it so many different ways. But my one and all-time favorite that I've been doing for 49 years, Jimmy, 49 years, is the Ouija board.
Let's take our break right here. Our guest tonight, the one and only Karen A. Dahlman. This is a Ouija 101 history class. And yes, there will be a pop quiz. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. We'll be right back. More with Karen right after this short break. Stay with us.
here. We listen to Jimmy Church.
You're listening to Fade to Black.
You're listening to Jimmy Church and Fade to Black on the X.
¿Qué tal, mis amigos? Yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
Introducing the Game Changer blend from River Moon Coffee that delivers a customized blend made specifically for the Fadernauts. If the game is rigged, change the game. It's a bolder cup with some bite. Game Changer is the coffee of choice for those that prefer an organic dark roast that is slightly lighter and milder, but it's still dark. With wild notes of pecans and chocolate with a rich, balanced, full-bodied cup that is roasted to perfection for a great coffee to start your day, as an after-dinner coffee or anywhere in between. Artisan, small batch roasted to perfection. USDA certified organic, all River Moon coffee is freshly roasted and packaged in the USA. Just go to rivermooncoffee.com or click on the banners over on our site and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. rivermooncoffee.com. Do you want to be an official Fadernaut? Of course you do. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black. Just go to our membership section at jimmychurchradio.com. Fadernauts, when you think about the future of our country and where we're headed, do you wonder about the food supply? I do. Disruptions in the food supply chain could be disastrous, and they usually occur with little warning. That's why the smartest thing you can do today is to stockpile emergency food, water, and other essentials. I personally recommend My Patriot Supply. They're the nation's largest emergency preparedness company, serving millions of customers for more than a decade. In fact, they're the only source my family trusts for our preparedness plan. You should too. Right now, save 20% off a full 4-week supply of delicious meals that provide 2,000 calories a day. Saving 20% helps too, doesn't it? Especially now. So go to preparewithjimmy.com and get ready. That's preparewithjimmy.com. There's no time to lose. Do it now.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
You listen to us, and we listen to you. And so does the CIA.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
Welcome back. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. On the Game Changer and UNX Networks, Race Hobbs. Tonight, Karen A. Dahlman is with us. Very special show tonight. We're doing the History of Ouija 101, a master class with Karen. And by the way, Karen, I'm just going to say this. You look striking tonight.
Oh, well, thank
It's
you,
the
Jim.
hair, it's the thing, it's the show, it's the vibe, but you're glowing. You always glow. You always
Well,
glow.
listen, when you talk about something you're passionate about, everybody glows. Let's just say that.
So I don't want to disclose too much here. Oh, by the way, did you know that guitar picks were shaped like planchettes? I'm just saying.
Absolutely. And they're shaped like an alien head. I have one that looks like an alien.
I do. I have alien head guitar picks too as well, but there's my...
Listen, this is the original shape, and I can talk to you about that. I want to show you. So you asked me about Egyptian board. I forgot I do have an Egyptian board. You guys, I got so many boards. Okay, so I got to show you this Egyptian board. Then I'm going to talk about the shape of this because it's interesting how that happened. Somebody made me, and it's a group called Carbon Lilies, and they're on Twitter, and they made me, this is called the Egyptian Portal Talking Board, handmade, homemade, with the Ankh is on this, and this is the planchette. Isn't this cool? So
That
this is a homemade one. Yeah.
I want one of those.
Isn't this amazing? You guys, I've been so fortunate because the work I do that people reach out to me, and I have so many boards people have made for me over the years. Fantastic. It's just awesome. I got to put it way up there. But so let me talk to you about this planchette and how this came to be. All right. This is one from, this is a Canadian planchette. Here's one that came from this would be on a normal talking board, spirit board. Here's one from the Salem Witchboard Museum, which my colleague, he's a treasurer of the Talking Board Historical Society, owns. If you're in Salem, you must go see the Salem Witchboard Museum. I did a show on my YouTube channel if you want to see it, but go in there. He's got the most incredible collection. It's the only museum of talking boards in the world, and it's done very well. This one glows in the dark.
Stop right there for a second. So those don't have holes.
These don't. And so he brought, that's kind of retro. The original ones, if you look at, didn't have holes either.
So what is it? The point? Is it
It's the point?
Right. Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. That's why, even I was saying about this little guy, I use this as the pointer.
Mm-hmm.
So I tell the guides when I work with them, whoever's coming through, use this to point, and they'll go around the board and just point. So let's talk about this shape, okay? So how this started, it was in, let me see, what year was that? 1858? What happened was in France, Spiritism had really kicked off. Now, they weren't using a Ouija board, but they were doing table tipping, they were doing wrappings, they were doing seances, ectoplasm cabinets, a lot of the stuff we were doing in the United States, but they were doing something different. And what that was that they were doing, it was called automatic writing. They had this little, a basket, and they put a pencil in it, which evolved to something that looks like this or this. These are modern day. My friend Brandon Hahn, colleague, is the ones from that era. They're old. And he's been on my show too, if you want to see what these look like. So imagine it kind of started with this kind of shape. This is the old ones that they made back in the 1858s. So it's called a planchette. Planchette stands for little plank in French. Planchette. So what happened was some spiritualist people went to France and sat in on these automatic writing sessions where these young girls were writing just like this with basket or with the planchette, and we're doing this, and they get messages. They can be blindfolded. It didn't matter. The messages come through. Guys, again, no different than taking a planchette to a talking board. Same thing. You just don't have to write it out. So
sure.
Same concept. So these gentlemen brought it back to the United States, 1858, and this came to the States before they were even doing the talking boards that we talked about happened in the mid-1880s. They were doing these, and people were automatic writing. Now, if anybody's done automatic writing with the writer, these have little ball bearings. The old ones had little caster wheels, and you put a pencil through the aperture, and it balances like that. You will find, and I've been in sessions with people who use these. I'm not as good with these, so I just use a pencil. But you'll find that it's illegible. A lot of times it writes over itself. It can't just pick up like you do a pen when you write. So it's kind of hard to read sometimes. So what they decided to do, the people that were making the boards, as we talked about earlier, I get my board out again to show you. So they were doing these boards like this. They were using all kinds of contraptions to move around, like a basket or pencils. Then they decided, well, let's pair this little writer planchette with it. But take this out, and voila, they created something like this. And that's how it evolved. It was really, this is what I call it, the marriage of spiritism that's going on in France with the marriage of spiritualism in the United States. And the Ouija board is the perfect tool that really brought those two together to do the writing. the channeling. It's kind of a fascinating story.
What's it like? I know that you just mentioned that you moved to another state, a nice house.
Yeah.
I have taken the tour of the
I've
house.
taken a tour in Jimmy's house too.
Yes, that's right. We did it together.
We did.
But you have it's not a small home. But what's cool about a home like yours is you can now put all of this stuff on display. When you step back and look at it, which is very cool, does it impress you to see how things have evolved over the years, and you can see it? You know, it's one thing because you've always got it stored, you've got to put it away, you've got it on shelves, but when you're able to display it, you get to see how things have gone through transitions, right?
Well, it's like looking at artwork. It's a feast for the eyes. As I was telling you earlier, so you guys, you're seeing a smidgen. You're seeing just a few boards. I have a wall that goes 6 feet this way, and it has 3 shelves, like you see behind me. You're only seeing the bottom shelf. And then I have a wall that goes 11 feet this way, and I truncated because I have a lot of bookshelves too with boards and all over the place in here. And then it has 3 shelves too. So I could fit on these 2 walls about 33, 34 boards. And what's nice about it, I walk in and I designed it and I had a guy build it for me. I walk in and look at it and go, oh my God. I mean, it's a feast for the eyes. It's like going into a museum and seeing artwork you love. I love boards so much, not because I like to use them, but because of the artwork. And again, we were talking about how they changed over the years, the different groups that created them, the homemade ones, it just the evolution of them and how they reflect, again, pop culture and what's going on during the time. So when I walk in, it's a museum, and I walk in and I go, oh, wow, I love that. And then I might move them around. And then I go, well, I like that one over here. And then I go, but wait, I got these 20 boards over here I haven't looked at in a while. Pull them out, and then I'll move them around. So I'm in my office. My office, you guys, is Ouija everything.
That's my question. What about, do boards know when they haven't been used? Do they feel neglected, right? Do you have to bring them down and give them a little love? Look, I have 4 walls of guitars in here, right? And I know when I haven't touched one in a while, and I pull it down and say, I love you. Do boards also, you know what I mean? Can you tell? So do you pull it down and say, I haven't used you in a while. Today's your day.
Well, I'm not under the camp that the boards to me are inanimate. They come alive as a channeling tool when I use them, and it's my energy. So it's really me, and it's really you saying, oh God, that guitar, I love it. I love it for these reasons, and the wood and the strings, and you go, the sound, and I go, I love it for the artwork. And wow, I haven't used that one in a while. I'm looking at one over here that's really cool. It's called a star tetrahedron board somebody built for me. And I just put it up on the wall about 2 weeks ago, and it's gorgeous. And I'm like looking at it going, yeah, I need to give it some love. But it's not because I think it's alive. It's because I love the artwork, and I go, the energy this woman put into it to make it for me. And then it used to sit out on my, my coffee table. I have boards all over my house, you guys. It was out on my coffee table, and it was just like a wonderful talking piece. And it was just so much love that she put into it to build it for me, because she really appreciated everything I talked to her about taught her about the board, that it was like her way to give back. And so I feel the thanks. It's more like a memory. And a lot of these boards I have, I mean, I bought them over the years, but some came to me as gifts, as I mentioned. And even some of the regular Ouija boards came as gifts. Somebody will buy it for me. And one of the things we do as collectors, we may get 1 or 2 of the same board, and we may just give it or get it sent to us sometimes, and we'll share them with our collectors and give them to them too. So there's a lot of that going on.
Okay,
so I think about that.
I appreciate that, but there's always a but, Karen.
Let's do the butts. Get the big butts out.
Have you had a board that you got bad vibes from?
I've never met a board I didn't like.
Okay.
And even the boards that are kind of maybe trying to be creepy looking, I can take any board, because again, it's me. It doesn't matter what the board looks like. It doesn't matter how rickety it is, or if it's, this one's a little trashed out. I have one that's worse up there. Or if it's spooky looking, or somebody makes it look like skulls and all this scary stuff on there. To me, it's like a tool. So I have to tell you, I've never met a board I didn't like. I've always appreciate the artwork or the story behind it, why they made it that way. after the break, I'll show you a couple of those kind of boards I'm talking about. And I would tell you they work the same as all of my boards because it's me again that's doing the work.
Now, okay, so we're talking about the history of Ouija, and things were pretty smooth sailing until, in my opinion, because I was around for this,
all right,
The Exorcist. So The Exorcist comes out, and suddenly, because it was part of the movie, that it was in the book, and
right.
and at that time in the United States, there was a lot of things happening at the same time: ESP and telepathy, and the conscious community, and the Bermuda Triangle. You know, all of these things were happening at the same time. And here comes The Exorcist and the Ouija board, and suddenly this was bad. This was the devil, and the devil speaks through this. And that is part of the history of the Ouija. And how did the Ouija community deal with this? And it was a big deal in the media.
Yeah. Okay. So that's kind of true, but I have to say, as part of the Talking Board Historical Society, we have dug up old articles where there's always, and we talked about this earlier in the show, Jimmy, how even when they first came out, there's always those groups that'll say you cannot talk to spirits. They'll call them false spirits, or you're not allowed to do this work. And that doesn't matter if you're doing like crystal balls or scrying or doing channeling or mediumship. There was always looked down upon by different groups. Typically religious zealot groups or groups of that nature. And so there's always been that. Now, I will say in TV, television, or Hollywood, there's a movie called The 13 Ghosts, which is really kind of cute. The family has a Ouija board and things happen in the house. It was more fun. Ha, ha, ha. Lucille Ball used it. You'll see it in a lot of shows because it was, again, part of the pop culture. And by the time Parker Brothers bought it from William Fuld. That was 1966. The first year of production in 1967, it outsold the greatest selling game, which was Monopoly at the time. So it became the most popular thing. There we go in the 60s, right? So you're right. So here comes the book in 1971, The Exorcist. Hits the big screen. Here you go. You'll love this story, Jimmy. On December 26, 1973, I got my board, this one right here, December 25th, 1973, one day before The Exorcist came out. So that did shift it somewhat because now it's in front of everybody at the movies. Now you got to remember back in that era, you guys, we didn't have the social media. You didn't have books about the Ouija board. They were far and few in between. There were some, but there was one called by Stoker Hunt, The Most Dangerous Game. There's Voices from the Void. There's Gina Cavina. There's Jane Roberts was using it. We go way back. James Merrill was using it. People were using the board, but they were using it more in an enlightening way. So you didn't necessarily hear about that unless you knew to go find these books. No social media, wasn't on television. So the Ouija community was really in a vacuum. We were all in our vacuums. And so people started collecting in the 80s and 90s. And that's when people started meeting each other. Now, I was in a vacuum with the Ouija because I was a practicing psychotherapist. I have my master's degree. I have so many licenses out of the yin yang. I have so many licenses, and I couldn't be advertising that I do this work or mixing it with what I did. You had to be a purist. I would have been considered a quack, etc. So I was in a vacuum. Most of us doing the board were in vacuums. In fact, when I came out in 2012, Jimmy, and I met you shortly after that, when I came out, people wrote to me and said, "Oh my God, I've been using the board too for 20 years or 25 years or 10 years or 15." And they're closer to my age, and they're like, "I've been using the board. It's a serious thing. I had great things, and thank you for saying this." That's what happened, and it encouraged me to write my book, The Spirits of Ouija, because there was no book out there that was really talking about Ouija board and how to use it positively. So that's where it changed for me. But yes, in Hollywood, they took something that was in everybody's attics, in their parlors of yesteryear, in their basements, the grandmother's mother, sister, brother, somebody had it in their house. Your mom had them, Jimmy. I remember we talked about your mom before. Yep. And your aunt, they would do it together and smoke coffee, cigarettes, and all that stuff, right? Or drink
every night. Every night.
We tell you, it's so great. So that's what was happening, you guys. And so it was such a common device. And it was marketed. It's always been marketed as a toy. That's part of the enigmatic part of it. That's part of the mysterious nature of it. So, they're using this thing, and then Hollywood goes, wow, this is great. And it was only for like 20, 30 seconds in the movie of the Ouija board, but then all of a sudden that became this whole thing that became Captain Howdy becomes Panzuzu, and it becomes this terrible demon. And it wasn't really until the 1980s when Kevin Tenney, the producer, made the movie Witchboard. You guys remember that from the 80s? When Witchboard came out, it was the very first time the Ouija board actually was a main character and it came alive. And then Kevin Tenney created a thing called progressive entrapment. If you use the board too much, you'll become obsessed and then possessed. And then it takes over your life. And then you go cuckoo and crazy and kill people and do weird things. And that is where this story, moving into the 2000s, and you start getting all these stories about the Ouija board that become like mythology based around it. Anytime you have something that's mysterious and you can't explain it quite how it works, and that's how the Ouija board is, why it's always been sold and appeals to people. Number one, we don't know really about death. I mean, we hear about NDEs and people communicating with mediumship, but until you've been there, you don't really know. So we want to know about death, but we're also scared of it a little bit. It brings up our mortality. And this is a way that kind of touches into it, although I don't use it for death at all. I use it for different things, but that's how it was sold. And then getting these answers on this enigmatic device. And so that really appeals to the human psyche. And so when Hollywood starts using that in their movies and then doing all these movies you see coming out, all these Ouija movies and stuff, they play up to it. And people are like, oh, yeah, we had one. Oh, one time when I was 15, I had a sleepover, or I was at a party in college. Everybody will tell you their story because they or a sister or brother or a friend had an experience, and then the story grows from there.
Yeah, it does. And everybody saw The Exorcist. Everybody read the book. It was the biggest movie of the year. William Peter Blatty and everything that was involved with it. But the Catholic Church, and exorcism and possession took over the country. I can't tell you how many times as a kid, you and I are the same age. So 1972, 73, 74, you pick up the paper, there was somebody that was possessed. And it was everywhere. The Catholic Church gets involved and they write it up, man. They make it like law. And other churches and religions ended up following suit. Now, if the board isn't real, right? I'm talking about the scientific, the skeptics. Right. It's motor driven. It's muscle. It's this is a subconscious is playing this out. So if that's the case, but then the Catholic Church comes along and says that it is real. It's divination, and you are reaching into the spirit realm with this, and possibly demons and everything else. No, you cannot. If you are a Catholic, you cannot have a Ouija board in your home, and you cannot practice this. Well, it was the Catholic Church is big. So if they make these statements, it's going to change the image of the board because of the size of the Catholic Church, right?
Absolutely. Here's an interesting fact. I was raised a Catholic and did all the stuff, confirmation, all that stuff, baptism, all those things. And my mom was a Catholic. She went to Catholic college, Catholic parochial school. We were big time Catholics, and no problem getting one from Santa Claus. I think my parents just thought I was messing around and playing. In fact, when I ask them, they totally believe me now because they get the messages and stuff, and they know my work over 49 years, right? But back then they thought, oh, we just thought you were just, messing around with the board and playing a game. I said, well, no, not really. This is what was going on. So for me, and by the way, the spiritualist movement was the same. These people would go to church on Sunday, but Saturday night, they may go to a spiritualist camp or do like Lilydale or Casadega, or go to these places where you can have readings and do mediumshipping, but they would still go to church the next day. And not saying they were Catholic or not, but it's funny, Jimmy, you mentioned the Catholicism. So many people have reached out to me over the years and said they had a similar background like myself, and they were also Catholic and used the board.
Right. And now we're going to be headed towards a break. And I want to discuss this deeply when we come back. And that is the internet.
Yeah.
And the videos, the things, and Aleister Crowley comes back into play, and different demonic entities. Some of the most watched videos on YouTube are of the Ouija board. Now, is it because we'll go into this much deeper when we come back after the break? You do a prayer every time you break out the board, and you do that for a reason. Is it just as easy for somebody to take this into a dark place as it is into a good place?
Well, with anything you do in life, you can have a chip on your shoulder and create all kinds of havoc in your life, or you can come about it from a different direction. And so I hate to just section out the Ouija because it's anything you do in life. You have a tool such as a phone. You can use it to research, talk to your friends, your loved ones, or you might get telemarketing on there you really don't want to get. Are you going to throw your phone away? Or you have a tool such as a hammer. Are you going to beat the shit out of your finger? Or you have a gun? So it's always about responsibility. And I see it that way. I always have. When you start going into an area like mysterious area, like the unseen dimensions, which we don't fully understand, and it's intriguing to a lot of us, and we wouldn't be here listening to your show if it wasn't. We wouldn't be into extraterrestrials and conspiracy theories and all these things we don't fully know, but we have the inquisitive mind that takes us there to do that. And so if you can explore from a positive mind or mental set, you're better off. And so you could take anything into a dark space, and you can just sit there right now and make yourself negative. Life is too hard. But if you come about all this stuff I'm talking about tonight, but even just regular channeling or mediumship or psychic readings from a space of attention, of purity of heart, you're going to get that kind of result. It really is what you put into is what you're going to get back. And to say that somebody gets possessed by this tool, I mean, it's so small. You would get possessed because of your own mindset, the way you are. It's not the tool's not alive, people. The tool isn't just a tool. It's ourselves. We can open ourselves up to anything. We can open ourselves to negativity or positivity and everything in between.
Let's take our break right here. Our guest tonight, the one and only Karen A. Dahlman, is with us. This is Ouija 101 tonight, everybody. Going to have a pop quiz. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black. We'll be right back after this short break.
Hi, everybody. This is Rob Halford, the Metal Guard, on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Your 1 million gigawatt paranormal powerhouse, KUNX-DB, VX.
2022 MUFON Symposium is in Denver, Colorado, July 7th through 10th, and it's on. If you can't make it to Denver, get the live stream. You can watch it live and anytime later. This year's theme is UFOs in the Spotlight. Our speaker lineup is incredible. Join Cheryl Jones, Peter Robbins, Michael Schratt, Kathleen Martin, Tom Reed, Paul Hynek, Peter Davenport, Dave Scott, Craig Campabasso, Donald Schmidt, Mark D'Antonio, and me, Ron James, for an exciting inside look at my new film. Newsflash, Congressman Tim Burchett has just confirmed that he will be making an exclusive live presentation at MUFON 2022. Tim is the most outspoken member of Congress on the UAP topic. You do not want to miss what he has to say. Sign up for our live stream. Get all 3 days of the MUFON Symposium, a 1-year subscription to MUFON TV, and an awesome free gift. What's the free gift? Find out at MUFONSymposium.com/Jimmy. That's MUFONSymposium.com/Jimmy. You do not want to miss a thing.
Hello, Fadernauts. Jimmy Church here. You've seen me with my Thunderstorm. Now you can purify the air in your home and get healthy, clean, fresh-smelling air and eliminate odors just like I do right here in the bunker. The EdenPURE Thunderstorm uses oxy technology that naturally sends out O3 molecules into the air, which seek out odors and air pollutants in your home and destroys them. It's called a thunderstorm because it purifies the air just like after a thunderstorm. And right now, you can save $200 on an EdenPURE Thunderstorm 3-pack for whole home protection. With this special offer, you're getting 3 units for under $200. Seriously. Go to EdenPureDeals.com and use Fader3. Shipping is free and it's easy. Just scroll down. You'll see my name right there, Jimmy Church. Click on it and get your deal today. That's EdenPureDeals.com.
Are you ready to read about true paranormal events? Unex Media publishes nonfiction books about UFOs, ghosts and haunted places, time anomalies, cryptid creatures, and more. Just like KUNXDB Radio, it's all about unexplained phenomena. Visit www.unxmedia.com to see our list of great book titles by Debbie Ziegelmeyer, Gene Walker, Devin Listrom, Wayne Lawrence, Bill Spicer, and yours truly, Margie Kay. That's unxmedia.com.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and I only drink Fade to Black blend coffee from River Moon. Just click on the River Moon coffee banner at jimmychurchradio.com. Promo code F2B blend.
This is the only way forward.
This is Fade to Black. Make contact.
When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Yes, River Moon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today.
You want to know a secret? I love ponies. I really love ponies. I'm serious. I couldn't stay sane without ponies to brush.
Why Fade to Black? Because you never got that pony, damn it.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network.
Great show tonight. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church of the Game Changer and Unex Networks, Raise Hobbs. Tonight, Karen A. Dahlman is with us, one of my favoriteest people on this planet, and she's just absolutely amazing. And tonight we're doing a Ouija History 101 masterclass tonight. We went through the history of the boards and her collection and the planchettes, and of course the history and the ownership and the patents that happened with this, and the phenomenon, the craze that took over the country. And I went through a very strange period. For probably a few weeks. I was watching YouTube videos. I was watching Ouija. I could not stop. And some of them carried with me. I mean, they were really well done and pretty frightening. I think most of it was staged, but it's entertainment and it was fun. But some of it, I would say was very real. And one of them was summoning the demon Zoso, right? Okay. And which I think you and I have talked about this briefly, maybe even more so privately, which I always think of Led Zeppelin.
Exactly. Right.
And I didn't know I didn't know these connections. And I would have, I've got Led Zeppelin T-shirts with Zoso on it, and I did not know. Of course, you have the Aleister Crowley, Jimmy Page connection. Jimmy Page bought Crowley's old house over at Loch Ness and moved in, which eventually burnt down, by the way, and that was a pretty crazy story when that broke. Now. Do you feel, and then I want to get to your own personal stories. I want to get into this. Do you feel that these sessions where these kids are getting together and they want to summon this demon through a Ouija board, that this is something that is actually happening?
I think what happens is our psyche, our mind abilities, our power of manifestation and creation and making tulpas and believing these things is powerful. What we have to talk about here, if we're going to talk about, summoning things like Zozo, and we'll talk about that in just a moment, or even any kind of, Hat Man, Thin Man, Mothman, all these things. I'm not saying they don't necessarily exist, but I'm saying your time would be better well spent for your life if you try to pull in more like universal consciousness and learn to channel to help yourself, guide yourself through life. Life is so hard. But yeah, you could get into anything and just start believing it and creating it, whether it's actually literally happening. But every single sound, every single thump, everything scary, like you're at a summer party doing the Ouija board, you want it to be scary. You want that adrenaline rush, and you're going to think, oh my God, there's a ghost outside. I heard the rapping on the window, and it's just a leaf or a branch of a tree brushing. So there's a lot to be said there. I mean, I can't speak for other people's experiences. I can only speak for my own, but I've heard a lot of different stories. I've heard some terrible stories. I've heard some really enlightening stories. And again, I really think it's about how you use these tools. Again, it's not the tool that does it. A Ouija board is nothing. It has no demon in it. It has no warlock. It has no witchery, trickery, or anything in it. It's just a piece of board, or nowadays are just cardboard with a sticker on them. They have nothing imbued in them. It's ourselves and our own relationship to it and how we think about it. Now, I wanted to show you, were asking me earlier if I can use any board and spooky boards. And here's a board. This is done by Dan Whitaker. Dan Whitaker is no longer alive. He did this by hand. This is drawn by a Sharpie. It's made after the witch board from the movie The Witch Board. Mm-hmm. So it's spooky looking. It's meant to be that way. A demon and all the weird looking things. I love it. I love it because he handmade it. I love it for the artwork. When I use it, it works the same as, let's say, here we go. I'll show you the contrast now. It works the same as my beautiful angel board. And I like Dan Whitaker's board as much as I like the angel board. This is archangels and stuff. So I just want to show you there's the antithesis of each other. You got the angelic stuff, and then you got the devilish stuff. And to me, it's really about how do you approach it? What do you believe in? What do you believe in? And your beliefs, like I tell you, doing any kind of channeling, mediumship, psychic work, all the stuff I kind of mentioned along the way, it's like if your beliefs, which creates your filters for how you view the world, your perceptions, is what you're going to get back, is how you're going to view it. So somebody who comes to this because of what they were told in their religious studies or their cultural, societal family, they said that's a bad thing to do. They're going to come to it and they're going to believe that. And so somebody, if they're young and touch it, most likely that's what they're going to draw to them. Whether it's real or not, that's not for me to say. But I also know that you can use these tools, and the Ouija board included, or automatic writing, these things we talked about, and pull in loving, benevolent beings that are here to help you, assist you, love you unconditionally, and they're like your spirit guides. So my thing is not to teach and tell everybody to go use a Ouija board, but I'm here to say this is ultimately my statement is this: find your own way to tap the universal consciousness so you can, it's within yourself, so you can use it to help and progress and evolve your life. Period. End of story. I just happened to find it through the Ouija board, and I was listening to Art Bell back in the day and all these older shows, and they were saying nothing but negative stuff about the board. So when I came out in 2012, I was on a bunch of shows, your show, Coast to Coast, all these shows, because I was saying something differently, but I also had 40 years of experience behind me to talk about how I got there. And so it was a process. And I learned in a vacuum. There was not, like I said, not the books to read, but it was a matter of me working on myself spiritually and then coming to this tool. So if any of you are interested in using this tool, I say only use this tool if you're comfortable with it. It calls you, like you feel interested and curious about it. But if you have the beliefs and perceptions that you can get beyond this tool and that you're really just channeling universal wisdom and all that is, source, God, whatever you want to call that energy, because that's what I do. And I found a way to do that. And I think you too could crack the code of consciousness and do something similar with channeling.
Now, so I guess the advice would be don't goof around.
Right. I mean, yeah,
right.
You goof around with a gun, somebody's going to end up dead. You don't goof around with serious tools.
Right. Right. Ha ha ha. Let's just summon a demon tonight. We're having a sleepover. So let's break out the Ouija board and see what we can do. Not a good plan. Not a good idea. Take it serious. Now, I wanted to talk just a little bit because I've seen you do this every single time you break out the board. You do a prayer.
I
right?
do.
And why do you do that?
Well, it's evolved over the years. And when I was 8 years old starting this, I didn't know to do that, but I knew to be serious about it. So I would do something else, like light a candle. So the thing was this, it's to set the vibration, the frequency of myself and my partner to enter into a sacred space. That's basically what we're doing. We're taking what we are in the regular, every old day and moving ourselves energetically into more of a sacred space to be able to make the connections, which I have such gratitude to the different beings that come through and communicate, because they've been nothing but just so loving and helpful. So I want to go into a sacred space like you do when, I'm a psychotherapist. When I work with people, there's a space that I help create to contain so we can have conversations about what their emotions are, and it's safe for them to share. And then we're done. We deconstruct that sacred space. It's silent. I don't talk about it. It goes into my charts. I put it away and they leave. But there's an opening and there's always a closing. People say, oh, make sure you say goodbye on the board. It's not so much about saying goodbye. It's about having a way to end the session so you can leave the sacred and come back to the mundane.
Do you see what I just posted up? Michelle said, anybody ever play light as a feather at a sleepover, right? And,
yeah, funny story, Michelle. Thank you for bringing that up. So when I was younger, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and I would have my friends come over, and the girls would go home and say, oh my God, Karen Dahlman has a Ouija board. It's so cool. I always did cool things. It wasn't like scary, but they would go to their parents, and their parents were of the belief that that was a bad thing to use because of The Exorcist or what they heard at religion or culturally or whatever, which is fine. I said, hey, no problem. Come on over. We'll play light as a feather, stiff as a board. Because guess what, Michelle? You know that works, right, Jimmy? I said, we're going to do something supernatural. If it's the board or light as a feather, stiff as a board, we're doing something fun.
I'll never forget the first time I saw light as a feather, stiff as a board done with my friends. And now we're all, mind you, 8, right?
Yeah.
We're all kids, and play and 2 fingers, right? Everybody had 2 fingers. That's what I remember.
Absolutely, 2 fingers. We used to get down to 1, but yeah, 2. Right, 2 around the people.
And I was like, no way. And I couldn't wait to lay down on the bed, man. I was next. Let's go. Let's do this thing. And I still don't know. I know that there's going to be different skeptics and stuff out there that are going to try to explain that away. No, when you have a bunch of 8-year-old kids levitating bodies.
Right. You do remember the story was a person sits at the temple, rubs the head and tells the story of that person dying. And what it does, it puts you into this it's hypnosis. It puts you into a relaxed state where your body does become stiff as a board, light as a feather. And the people lifting believe it too. And we're not going, oh, get them up. We're like this. Right, Jimmy? You just picked them right off the floor. Like,
you know what? I'm going to let a little secret out. I've got a dinner party this weekend.
Oh.
I think we're going to play light as a feather as adults. Let's just see.
Oh, I think you should, and bring the Ouija board too.
I'm not a pro at the Ouija board. Right. I'm not. I don't want to. If you were over,
I would do it.
Yeah. Well, we've done it.
We've done it at one of the parties. You're right.
Yeah, and it's a lot of fun. Okay, now share some crazy stories.
Okay.
I know. After 40 years, we're the same age.
49 years of using the board.
49 years. Yeah. You've got.
Oh my God.
Stories. Share some stuff with us.
Well, okay. So I think I have so many stories, you guys, but one of the most memorable stories, which really was my turning point to using this tool and how I was going to use it. I mean, I was using it originally for mediumship. I thought that's what you're supposed to do because that's what the spiritualist movement earlier came from, was talking to the deceased. I didn't know you can actually talk to animals and cryptids and spirit guides and angels. And I mean, it went on and on. But I'll tell you, my most memorable story was we were using this board. I was in a sorority in college, and I was using it, I don't know, the last 2 years of college, a lot. And I had a couple girls in there who did it really well with me, almost, well, to the level that Rodney and I can use it. They did it really well. So we're using the board. The board we were using was this size board, okay? Not my small one. My friend had this one. This is like a 1950s board. 50s, 60s was this size. So we were doing it a lot, and we were using my small board, this one right here, all the time. So we said to the girls go, "What, Karen, what are you doing? I don't get this. This is stupid. You push this thing around. What exactly? It's evil. What exactly are you doing?" All the Catholic girls come to me, and I say, "Well, hey, let's go downstairs to our secret chapter room." And I sat there cross-legged, and I had my friend Linda, who did it really well. We're still friends, and she actually wrote something in my book. She's in my book, by the way. And she sat across from me. I said, "We're going to take this one step further. We're going to blindfold ourselves. We're not going to see." And then I said to a friend of mine, I said, "You're going to be the scribe. You're going to write down when it's the planchette stops on a letter." We sat there and we blindfolded ourselves. We couldn't see. The girls put the board. I didn't know if it was upside down or right side up on my legs. I had no idea. It turned out it was facing me, but I didn't know it at the time. Put our hands in that planchette. Again, we're blindfolded. It just starts moving around. Now, at that point, excuse me, we were talking to somebody who was one of our sorority sisters who had died a few years earlier. And I didn't know this woman, but a lot of my alumni and older girls in the house knew her. So I just started talking to her all the time, and I got all these stories, and people could confirm that what she was giving was information nobody should have known. So I thought she would come through. No. What happened was, back then I wasn't doing a prayer. I would just say, "Hey, I would just say something like, we're using the board to reach the spirits. I would always say we're protected, we're in light." But it wasn't what I was doing now, what I do now. The planchette moves really fast. It's going around, and then it finally comes to it close and it stops. I'm like, "Oh, wow, that was intense," right? And Linda's like, "That was intense."
Okay, so, if you guys are blindfolded, somebody else is writing.
Right. Two of us are blindfolded with their hands in the planchette. A girl over here is not blindfolded. I said, "Don't call the letters out loud. Just write them down." So it would stop, and then we go to the next letter. It'd be like this fast. And she just kept up with it. Now, you guys, people say if you do the board blindfolded, that ruins everything. It won't work. They say it's your ideomotor. You need your eyes to do this work. It's your brain controlling the fine muscle movements. And you guys, I had this proved to me in this session. It was 1986 when this happened. Okay, this is what changed me. And at that point, I've been using the board for 13 years. Planchette stops. I say, "Dina, please read." Verbatim, here it is in my book. "Hello, Lindsay. This is your sister. I am fine. Tell Mom and Dad that I am fine. So is my boyfriend. We love you all. We are still with you. We felt no pain and died on impact. The only pain we ever felt was the pain the family felt and expressed at our funerals. We are at peace and feel love. Please do not be concerned about us anymore. Know that we love you and will always be with you. We will be with you again. I love you all."
Wow.
Now, I got to tell you, I'm still emotional. It was incredible. I had no idea, but another girl sitting in the room who was one of the ones, "What are you guys doing?" She had a dead sister, a sister who died just a few years earlier, a literal blood sister. And I had no idea. And nobody in the room but one other person knew she had a sister who died. She never talked about it. This girl was sitting there crying, that gut-wrenching cry, the ugly cry that happens sometimes. And all of us, there was not a dry eye in the room. And I was like, "Oh God, what did I open here?" But I thought, wow, this is healing. I said, "What are you going to do with this message?" She goes, "I'm telling my mom and dad." And I said, "You guys, no more fun and games. I don't need to prove anything to any of you or anybody ever again. I know this tool works. This was the proof. I already knew it worked, but this is proof to 8 or 9 of you in the room. I think it was 8 or 9 of us. And there was one gal from that 1986 who wrote something for this book in the very back and talked about, I said, "What was your most memorable experience?" She talked about that session. She goes, "It changed her life, changed her view on religion, changed her view on the afterlife. She quit fearing death and a lot of other things." But it was amazing to have that experience. And it's something that nobody could ever take from me or tell me it didn't happen, because it happened. And I had witnessed this during this process.
Have you ever had a spirit or somebody that you've contacted contacted say, you know what? I'm not into this.
Yes. I've had spirits come through, and so people reach out to me sometimes. And I used to do sessions on the board, and people would pay us a small fee, and Rodney and I would do them. Now I'm doing that anymore. I'm working off the board, channeling directly, and I do some mediumship that way, or just psychic readings. But people would come to me and say, I really would like you to reach so-and-so who just transitioned. It could be an aunt, a brother, a mother. And sometimes they would come through and give a message. Other times they'd say, I'm not going to come through you. I don't know you. I'm going to come to them directly. Tell them it's best for them to look to their dreams, or tell them to open up their minds, because I've already been coming to them. Listen to your favorite song or whatever. So yeah, this is not, it has nothing to do with the board. They never go, oh, I'm scared of the board. It's that they don't know who I am. And they know I can channel, but they want to have their intimate relationship with the person, the loved one they left.
Right. Yeah. You're getting into their space.
Right. And there's no need for that. So I don't ever push that. If somebody doesn't come through, it's like, I honor that, because it's like they have their own way. You know, Rosemary Guiley still comes through and talks to me on the board and off the board, because she and I, when she was alive, we used to get together and do the board together.
Mm-hmm. What about a random connection? Right, somebody that approaches you, through the board that you don't expect, and you were thinking something else was going to happen. Is that something that occurs? And
all the time. When I do the board with one of my brothers, he's also very good at using the board. And it's not like we do it all the time together, because he's got his own life and we live in different states. But once in a while we get together, he will do it with me. And all he has to do is, he doesn't have to focus. He just puts one hand on her. It might even have a conversation over here, or just not even pay attention. And it's like watching Rodney, but Rodney's focus. He's like, blah, blah, whatever. And it just goes. And we were doing this one night. We were out in Palm Springs, and all of a sudden somebody comes through and said, hey, where am I? Can you help me? I don't know where I am. It's dark. I don't know. And I said, well, who are you? Go, well, this is my name. His name was Hector. And he said, I don't know where I am. I could see an address. So we spat out the address, the numbers, the street, everything. It turned out it was in Indio, California. And so the next day we decided to go, let's go see if this address is real. Well, the son of my brother's stepson actually looked it up on his phone and said, this is a real address. So we go there. It was a funeral home. And it turns out when we talked to him again, I've talked to him several times since then. Turns out he died not in the funeral home, but on the land. And he was like a worker, like a migrant worker who died in the heat. And he was in the same area of that funeral home, and whereas he was actually buried, but his essence was still there. It said, all I can see is this address, and it was a funeral home. It was the craziest thing. But that's not that happens a lot. What I've learned is when I have a planchette or something, or just a board, for me, if I'm in the space of using this tool, they find that that's their opportunity to come through and communicate. Sometimes there doesn't have to be a connection to me at all for them to want to do that. They just want their story to be heard. For example, Lena, who had the sorority sister, her sister had been deceased for like 3 or 4 years. That was her opportunity. And she knew that her sister trusted me enough that she would take this message to her parents, who were feeling guilty and bad about that death. So yeah, I can call in sometimes different beings, especially the ones I work with all the time. That's not a problem. But just anyone coming in, it's not always that way. So what I've learned, you guys, over the years, because there will be an opportunity for people, deceased people, to come through, or even somebody's spirit guide, is I've learned to raise the vibration, say the prayer, get everybody in the room, myself, my partner, or people that are at my circle, at the same frequency, the same energetic level, so we could bring in the energy together. And that way I find it will work better. And then it might be a message for somebody in the room who didn't even ask, because it's a timing thing to hear the message.
I want to talk about Hector for a second before the break. You want to do overtime?
Whatever you want to do. Yeah.
So,
great.
Okay.
Great, let's do it.
So let's get that out of the way. But Hector,
yep,
he was lost, right? He didn't know where he was.
Yes.
And And how does that make you feel? That's the one part about this, whether it's EVPs or connection, or when you contact a spirit, that's the part that honestly just freaks me out.
Okay.
It's almost melancholy. It's almost forlorn. You don't want to be like that, right?
No, but do we answer this now or wait till break? After break?
No, let's do it now. We've got
okay. So in the case of Hector, he wanted help. He goes, I want to know where I am. I don't like it. And he didn't use the word stuck, but I knew that he was stuck. I've worked with so many different spirits over the years who come to me and say, I need help. It's not my agenda. I don't go, oh, I got to go rescue this spirit and send it to the light. I mean, that's Hollywood. That's not what I do. If they come to me and say, can you help me? I'm like, I would love to help you. And they typically do it because they recognize the light. When you channel in these other dimensions, there's it's like you set up a light. I can't explain it. It's like a proverbial light, but it's also literal. And they see it and they go to it. They go, well, this feels good. Can you help me? And because I can hear them and work with them through this tool, as many mediums can do, many channelers can do the same thing. It's like then we can hear the conversation. Once he realized he was actually transitioned, which is what I like to call it, because you never really die, but he wasn't of that body anymore, and he was hanging out as a spirit. He wanted to move on, but it was through a process of conversation, of communicating with him a few times and helping him realize, and then bringing in his angels. It's a whole spirit releasement, or I should say transition process I use. And I do talk about how to do that in this book here, because I've done it many times. Is Hector in here? Hector's in here, but there's a few others that are in here too that I've worked with. But again, it's not my agenda. It's their agenda and what they want to achieve from the opportunity to have this communication.
Yeah, I find that interesting because
it is interesting.
It wasn't somebody that's come to you and said, my aunt Margaret, right, or my whatever. It's not about that. This was something that was random.
Random.
It wasn't a celebrity, right? It wasn't Cleopatra. It's somebody named Hector that gives you an address to a funeral home, which was random.
Legit.
Wow.
Right there. And we didn't know it was a funeral home. We were like, what is this? This happened quite a few years ago. The internet was still kind of infancy. But yeah, it was crazy. We're like, what? And listen, even though I do this, I've been doing it for such a long time, almost 50 years, I am always amazed at these incredible messages that come through. We've done a few on your show, and I'm like, I don't know anything about that guy.
Right.
The guy the guitarist. I didn't know about Art Bell, but they still came through.
Oh, we did Eddie Van Halen. Was
that
Eddie?
who it was? No,
or did we do Randy Rhoads? Who did we do?
Might have been. I can't remember, but it was a famous musician who just transitioned. And you want to? I go. Do you know who this is, Rod? He goes, no, I don't. All the better.
I think it was it Eddie Van Halen? Did we? I can't remember now. We've done so many shows.
I know, and I can't remember. That was probably about, I don't know if we can look that up, but I don't know. I don't know if it was Eddie Van Halen. It might have been somebody else, but somebody that you wanted to talk to because I guess you guys, the guitar thing or something. But he used some terminology that I don't know anything about guitars.
Right. I remember that. The Fadernauts need to let us know who that was.
That was crazy. That was crazy. And I know nothing about this guy. And to me, that's what's so amazing about it. People will come to me and say, this so-and-so, or can you bring in? And all of a sudden somebody comes in that they know, or a mother-in-law or somebody. I'm like, I don't know this person. And then I start giving this accurate information and stuff. It's just, I'm blown away, you guys. I am blown away, but I got to tell you, I'm always very grateful, and I have such gratitude towards it's the guides that I call them. I call them the guides, the ones that come through every single time now, since I met them in 1994. And since they've been coming in every single time, it's like they're the ones that bring in now the transition people or the animals.
Let's take our break right here. This is Fade to Black. Our guest tonight, the one and only Karen A. Dahlman. What a show. We're going into overtime. And, I like to have a little fun. So we're going to do that in overtime. Ouija fun. The History of Ouija 101 Masterclass going down tonight with Karen A. Dahlman. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black and the Game Changer and UNX Networks. Race Hobbs. We'll be right back after this short break. Stay with us.
You're listening to Jimmy Church and Fade to Black on the X.
Hey, what up, y'all? It's your girl Vivica Fox here, and you are listening to my boy, Jimmy Church, on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter.
But listening to Jimmy Church will.
Hello, Fadernauts. Jimmy Church here, and I know what you're thinking. Lately, Jimmy sounds so fresh. He's so alert. He's so now. Well, that's because of biotech research and their new supplement, BrainPEAK 9. BrainPEAK 9 contains 9 nutrients that may help support brain function of memory, concentration, recall, and improve focus. Other memory supplements can cost as much as $129 for a 60-day supply. But right now, for a limited time, if you use the discount code FADER, that's right, FADER, just for the Fadernauts, you'll get a 60-day supply for just $49. There's no better time than right now to see what others have been raving about. Help improve your brain function. Go to BrainPEAK9.com and enter the discount code FADER. That's right, for the Fadernauts. That's BrainPEAK9.com. Discount code FADER. And the links are over at JimmyChurchRadio.com. Click on it now. Seriously.
This is Billy Carson, founder and CEO of ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. ForbiddenKnowledge.tv is the fastest growing and one of the most watched networks in the world. And I would like to personally invite you to check out our expanding library of TV, film, lectures, and special presentations. ForbiddenKnowledge.tv has over 6,000 videos covering lost history, health, UFOs, spirituality, and our future. We are committed to our community, and with my personal invitation, you can right now get your own free 30-day membership at ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. Your own library of information starts today at ForbiddenKnowledge.tv.
Your 1 million gigawatt paranormal powerhouse, KUNX-DB, the X.
Are you ready to read about true paranormal events? Unex Media publishes nonfiction books about UFOs, ghosts and haunted places, time anomalies, cryptid creatures, and more. Just like KUNX-DB Radio, it's all about unexplained phenomena. Visit www.unxmedia.com to see our list of great book titles by Debbie Ziegelmeyer, Gene Walker, Devin Listrom, Wayne Lawrence, Bill Spicer, and yours truly, Margie Kay. That's unxmedia.com.
Introducing the Game Changer blend from River Moon Coffee that delivers a customized blend made specifically for the Fadernauts. If the game is rigged, change the game. It's a bolder cup with some bite. Game Changer is the coffee of choice for those that prefer an organic dark roast that is slightly lighter and milder, but it's still dark. With wild notes of pecans and chocolate with a rich, balanced, full-bodied cup that is roasted to perfection for a great coffee to start your day, as an after-dinner coffee or anywhere in between. Artisan, small batch roasted to perfection. USDA certified organic, all River Moon coffee is freshly roasted and packaged in the USA. Just go to rivermooncoffee.com or click on the banners over on our site and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. rivermooncoffee.com.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
This is Erica, Brittany, Gabby, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
It's not a lifestyle we chose. We were born this way.
This is KJCR at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Welcome back. Fade to Black Overtime with Karen Dahlman. Man. Oh, you know what? I just thought of something, Karen. I just thought of something. I'm not going to be specific here. I'm not going to do that. But we did. We were having fun, and we did a drum circle at this big house. And we were into it, man. We were into it. I was the bass drum.
Oh, yeah.
And this went on for a while.
I wouldn't say a few hours. We just kept going. It was so much fun.
And we were in the zone, right? And I'm not going to say what. I'm not going to do anything. But Karen just blurts out this thing, and all of us just like came out of the zone and went, "What?"
I'm gonna cry. Was it funny as what? Wasn't it funny than anything in the world?
The thing is, man, we were all caught up in it, and you were in the zone, man, and your emotions just came out, and we laughed. I got to tell you,
I'm laughing now. I'm laughing so hard I'm crying. I just started channeling, and it was humor. I channel humor a lot, and it was just hysterical. I just blurted this out. Everybody's like.
And you gave us 3 or 4 hours of laughter after that.
Oh my God!
And I can't wait. Next time I see you, your word. That's how I'm going to greet you.
I hope you know what we have never talked about that, but Jimmy, I never forget that either. That drumming circle was fantastic. All of your Fadernauts are awesome, and then we just got in that zone and we started doing. I just did a solo. I don't sing, you guys, but it was hysterical.
Well, it's okay. I'm going to tell everybody what happened to me.
Okay.
I walked by the dining room table. I'm getting an echo from you.
Echo.
Yeah. Can you go down to your settings?
Yes. What are you going to do?
Echo cancellation. One of us is echoing.
It was check, but I'm going to check it again. I unchecked it and checked it again. Is that good? Is that better?
Check. Now it's gone. Okay, good. Okay.
Great.
So I go by the dining room table and we had all this food. It was incredible, right? It was just awesome. We had this giant dining room table that sat like 12 people and it was just covered with food. And I see this chocolate bar and it's there and it's, and I went, oh, okay. So I broke off an end of the chocolate bar.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. And I'm like, man, that's good chocolate. And I went back and I broke off another section and I ate it. It was like a half hour later, somebody comes in and goes, who ate all the cannabis chocolate? And I'm sitting there like, what? And I said,
true story.
What, yeah, true story. I said, what chocolate on the dining room table? You mean that was
No, I didn't have any of that chocolate. I just get in the zone from drumming.
Well, and it was too late for me.
Yeah.
But what freaked me out was the person that put that chocolate bar there said, how much did you eat? I said, well, I broke off an end. You were only supposed to eat this much.
Right. And you were like,
I ate like 2.
Yeah, you were eating chunks of it. Yeah, I was like, I had no idea either, Jimmy, but you're just Jimmy's fun. Let me just say, Jimmy's fun.
And I haven't done anything like that in like 10, 15 years. And I'm like, oh. Then I panicked. But anyway, so then a couple hours later, I was the bass drum in the drum circle. Yeah, it was great, man. It was a lot of fun. Okay, I want to talk about celebrities and the Ouija.
Okay.
You have channeled celebrities. Oh, by the way, the answer was Eddie Van Halen.
Was Eddie Van Halen? Okay.
It was Eddie Van Halen. Do people want to do that? And go, let's go with Elvis, the movie's coming out this Friday. Right. Have you ever channeled Elvis as he comes?
No. You guys, I'm not interested in celebrities. I only did the celebrities for you, Jimmy, because you asked on your show. And that's not my thing. People I know is more what I want to channel, or spirit guides or cryptids. Now I'm into cryptids and animals. That's kind of a different thing. But I know people who do nothing but channel through the board famous people. And they love doing that. Barry Strome's one, another friend of mine, I can't say her name, but that's all they do. And my thing, I'm not into it. I really don't care. I like channeling. If you say it's my mother's brother who just passed, or I need a message like that woman's sister or Hector, just random people coming through. But my specialty, you guys, is more meeting extraterrestrials, talking to them, spirit guides, angels, or information about you and your life, and then maybe your pets. That's what I do. That, to me, that's famous enough.
Now, with everything that's happening right now with UFOs and UAPs and the government and Harvard University and Avi Loeb, everything is UFOs these days. What information is 2022 the year? What kind of information are you getting about that?
All right. So, okay. So when they first started coming to me, that was in after 1989, because that's when we started talking to our higher selves for about 4 years. And that's when the extraterrestrials started coming in. I was like, this is weird. I don't know if I buy this. I don't know what to do with it. It was out of sorts. So it wasn't until about in the 2000s where I started getting more into the extraterrestrials. And I'm talking about extraterrestrials that are like not even our solar system, or some that we recognize, or some that are like in alternative realities. There's humans there, but there are also other species there. So this is what I keep hearing, and I hear this from the guides, and it's not so much on the board. Although I've talked to different AT races on the board, they hate talking that way. They say the best way for us is to come and do downloads in your dreams, or just to come to you directly, and I'll usually hear them and feel them. And I've seen some things. I've seen some really interesting things. That's for a whole nother show. I'm not ready to quite go there, but I will say that I'm hearing 2023 to 2025. And it's funny, I've been hearing that for a while, like maybe 10 years, and I'm starting to hear other people starting to mimic and say that. I haven't said that public ever, but that's what I'm hearing for in terms of a little more solid disclosure, not just, oh, here's a Tic Tac video and here's this and here's that, but where there's something more like you're going to believe it more so, where there's a lot more weird lights in the skies. I'm not talking about TR3Bs in our own crafts. I'm talking about things that are beyond that. I will say this. A lot of people I know, again, I'm on the fringe of the paranormal. I go to these conferences and I speak, and I have a lot of friends who are interested in this kind of stuff, that they are telling me that a lot of these people are seeing things and seeing these beings with their eyes or in dreams. They're having a lot more encounters. So it's happening, but it's more like a grassroots movement. And I know a lot of people on your show are talking to you about that. And I've had some experiences very much like that, where it's in the flesh.
2023, we're only 6 months away.
Yeah, 2023 to 2025. It's so you could just say the average is 2024, but somewhere between that period to 2025, you're going to see a lot more things. The thing is this is what I've heard. We have to clean up ourselves first, the way we treat each other, the way we are in the world. And this is nothing new. We all know this. Many people have come forward over the years and have said the same thing. We're too much of a warfare kind of society, and we're too much judgmental, and we're going to shoot them down or capture it or not want to believe it. And really the psyche and the consciousness of humanity is not all quite there. Now, I know everybody here is there, but not the rest of the masses of cultures around the world. Through with the COVID stuff, the vaccine, all this stuff that's really taken away our sovereignty and also taken away our freedoms. We have to get back to where we can feel free, and like we're not giving up our free will for them to come through. Because the last thing they want us to do is just see them as a god, which our cultures have always seen in the past. They're above us, they're beyond us, they're better. The truth is, they look at us that we are just as inspiring to them, and they tell me this, as we think they are to us because of their technology. But they're saying, no, you have so much more that we don't even understand. So we've got to get back into our sovereignty and know that we are. This is my mission statement: teach everybody that they have this ability to tap into the universal source and feel strong within yourself, centered within yourself first. And once you can do that, it's better for then these other beings that are so different than us in many ways and technologically advanced and have these ships and stuff, or don't even use ships, for them to come to us, because we won't go, oh, they're better than us and let's worship them. And that is what's been going on throughout the ages. We got to change that.
The planet has been at war for over 5,000 years.
Forever.
Yeah, forever. Are you suggesting that at least the beings that you've been in contact with, they're not interested in war, right?
No, not interested in war. They're curious. They want to explore. They want to have treaties. They want us to be come back and be part of their brethren, of space brethren, if you will. I have not met an ugly one. Now, when I was a child, I will say this: I didn't quite understand, and I had contacts back then. This is before the Ouija board, you guys. This is like since I was young, I was seeing things, and I didn't quite understand it, and it was scary to me. So in my mind, because my filters and perception was this is scary. It wasn't until I got a little bit older and I could put it in some kind of perspective of widening view of the world that I was able to see, oh, I understand now. And the spirit guides I work with weren't going to give me all the information. They had me learn to go through it and have these experiences with different beings and what we would call them extraterrestrials. They really aren't. They're just other beings from other galaxies or other parallel universes or different planets or inner planets or whatever. They're just other beings, species, that it's like I had to experience that and put it into a new perspective as I grew spiritually. And that's what they're waiting. They're waiting for us to wake up. And right now, you guys, this is such an incredible time to be alive. Since the harmonic convergence in 1987 and forward, everybody goes, 2012. Well, that was the end of a Mayan calendar. That was one culture that might have noticed that. But we're talking 1987 with the harmonic convergence, which I remember. And it was the energy was shifting massively. And at that time, it was like people say the veil was thinner. What it was is that we started realizing, as you mentioned earlier, Jimmy, with the ESP and psychokinesis and the abilities, we started being more open to the abilities and we could speak about them. That allowed us to waken up to our own inner abilities and proclivities to do our own kind of psychic work, if you will. But the clairsenses started developing for humanity. And that's what they're waiting for. It's not that we're ever going to be peaceful probably in our day, but it's the fact that, we always got to judge and fight. That's part of being in this planet. It's dualism and looking at the differences and always fighting the differences. But it's for us, if enough of us awaken within here. And that's what my message is again, you guys. It's not about using the Ouija board. It's about tapping into these incredible beings that love us, or God consciousness or source or all that is, and learning that you are extension of that. And when we can get empowered and centered in that, that's actually when they can come. Because they're going to realize we're not going to go, oh, save us. Nobody's here to save us but ourselves. No politician, no leader, no guru. It's ourselves. And they don't want to be the next leader or guru because they've done that many times over the ages. They want to be able to come back this time. And they are coming to people. Many people I know are having these experiences. They're very trustworthy, believable people. And you guys know them too. You're probably some of them yourself in here because you would not be interested in all this stuff if you didn't have your own experiences of awakening. That is what they're waiting for, Jimmy, is that's the inner awakening.
That's fascinating to me. And in a strange way, I think that the proof is there for that type of example or statement, in that, quite honestly, any advanced civilization, more advanced than us, if they wanted to show us a bad time, we would know it. And there would be nothing that we could do. I mean, you and I would not be here right now.
Oh, we'd be obliterated if they wanted to do that to us. It's not that. Yeah, there's some. Listen, everything's not pie in the sky. There is some controlling agendas out there. We see it in our own species. It's always out there in different species. It's out there. Okay.
Sure.
I want to be clear about that. And it's even doing this work with the board or any kind of channeling. You always get this dualistic nature that's going to always be there. But it's really about us awakening that dualism is within ourselves, and how are we going to work with it? Are we going to fight it? Are we going to let this side win out where you want to be all negative? Because remember, we talked about this earlier. Where do you want your energy to go? Where it goes is where it's going to flow. And so do you want it to be more negative thinking? Like, how are you going to use that gun? Or do you want to use it more responsibly? And that's what we're talking about here. And that's when they have an ability to come through. And a lot of people that are meeting them are people that are really trying to work with these energies. None of us are perfect that are having these experiences. Some of it is by happenstance, but it's the fact that we're at least open to it to happen. And I find that more and more people are not as scared of it. Although I do meet people who have had some experiences that are just terrible from what they remember. I had that as a child. But I can also tell you it starts transforming for them as well. But not everybody's there. Last thing they want to do is these different beings to come, whether it's Sasquatch stepping into the public eye, where it's the mantis beings or the tall grays or the Pleiadians. They don't want us to go, should we fear you because you look so different than us? Or should we just embrace you because you're so cool? I mean, what is it? They want us to go, well, let's meet and let's have talks and figure out how we can maybe live together. I'll share something else, Jimmy, that the guides have told me, and the guides are the beings that I talk to. They are basically source energy, extension of source, and we are as well, but we forgot they know they are, and they're light beings. And what they say is Earth is really unique in that every different species beings that are out there all over different galaxies, universes, whatever, interplanetary, they've all placed their calling card here. So that's what we're so diverse with all these different beings. So when you see like an aquatic animal, dolphins, they actually have their start somewhere else. Everybody came here and seeded and brought an aspect of them here to be a reminder to us to help us awaken to these different beings that we're from all over. We're all star beings. So the mantis beings brought their praying mantis. It's their calling card. It's so these kind of things you can look at and go, we're all from the stars. We're all made from the stars. But they brought that here to experiment what their kind of species could be to live here with us.
A couple of questions I meant to ask you earlier. Who decides when to end a session? And not only that, have you ever tried to end a session and they said no?
So you're right. That's good. I've had some that said, we're not done. We still have communications to go. And for me, and we've talked about this before, Jimmy, I get a high from this work that I could go for hours, and I can do 5.5 hours at the board, no problem. So using my partner, that's a limitation. And for them, it's like 3 hours or 2 hours or 1 hour. That's about all they can do. So what I find is I might say, okay, we get it closed now. And I've not the guides. The guides will stop when I'm ready to stop, or they'll go as long as I want to go. But when I bring in, like, let's say Hector, it was more like his energy was decreasing. He could only go for so long. And I have others that come through and go, wait, I got more to say. And I'll say, cool. We'll do it again in 3 days, or you can come to me on my off when I'm not when I'm on my off time, but when I'm on again to do this work, board, channeling, whatever. So I set up those boundaries, and I did that early on. That's like, this is basic 101 is setting up those boundaries of when you're going to do this work.
Now, what about doing this by yourself? Do you ever Ouija by yourself?
I do. I'm not as good by myself.
Wait. Why is that?
I'll tell you why. It was 39 years I always used a partner. It was in the last 10 years I started using it by myself. Because I learned, you guys, it's so ingrained in me to use a partner. And that's what the box said. You have a male, female, preferably, or sit across from your partner. It was always about partners, Right. And so, but then I decided when I was 39, 10 years ago, to start exploring that. And I can do it. It's slow. It's not like you see Rodney and I do. And I have a harder time letting go. But when I do my readings, and if I use cards or a channel, I have an easier time to let go. It's easier for me off the board to do it alone than it is to do it on the board, if that makes any sense. It's weird, but a lot of people that are older, meaning we've been doing it since the 70s or whatever, we learned to do it with a partner. And so it's harder for us to get off the board. Now, I do meet a lot of people who can use it on their own, and they're like that. I'm not that good, but I will get messages.
Now, okay, we're at the end of the show. Answer this as quick as you can so we don't run out of time.
Okay.
If you are when you're, I don't want to, I almost said doing the board. When you're doing the board, when you're doing the board by yourself, you are asking you're doing it for yourself, right? You're not doing it for somebody else.
I have a little bit. I usually, when I do by myself, I'm talking to the guides. because they're the strongest energy for me to discern and feel it come through.
Right.
I work with them a lot off the board where I can feel them and I know like they're here right now. And I know when they're here because I just tapped into them. And they're the ones that I always bring through first, even when doing the board by myself. So I can feel them. And they say, Karen, using the board by yourself is going backwards. They worked with me for the last 10 years, also getting off the board as well.
Right. Okay. Continuing this, and I just want to get this in before we have to sign off. When you're by yourself, what do you ask? Is it a mood that you're in? Like you just had your coffee, you just want, and you're like, you know what? Wait a minute, I need some info. Is it like that, or is it something that's more planned?
It could be like that. It could be a little bit of, I feel like I want to get a message from them, and I want a message like it's as simple as this. What's the next step that you guys and are struggling with something I'm thinking about? Maybe it's a business project. It's not like they're going to go, oh, pick that one, not that one. They're going to say, they're going to give me some kind of statement like, what gives you your greatest joy? I go, oh yeah, I forgot. Greatest joy. And they'll go, so if you go down that path, how do you envision it? They act like therapists with me. It's really funny. Wow. And so when they come through, if you recall, Jimmy, they'll come through like therapeutic at times. And they said it's because that's you. I've been a therapist since 87, 89. And they said, that's you. That's what you bring to the table. And they said, even though you weren't using the Ouija board with your clients, you were channeling us. And that's when we first started working together. And I was like saying things. I was like, how the hell did I know to say that? But it's because I've learned over the years to work with them, just discerning and hearing and feeling them and speaking what I get. So it's like a collective we coming through. And even tonight, as we were speaking, I felt them come through a few times and they interjected, although it'll sound like me and it is me. I don't do like transmediumship, but they came through and said, make sure you say this or show this. So they're here. So when I do it by myself, they usually now they say, you don't need the board. Listen to us directly, and I'll go into a meditation and listen to them or write. I allow them to write with me a lot of times. But yeah, you can ask any question you want to ask, Jimmy, anything. Like I'm looking at these two guitars. Which guitar should I get? It could be that simple.
I'm going to use you for that. Ooh. Karen, what a show. Thank you so much. It's been too long. I've got your Facebook, your Instagram, your Twitter, your YouTube. I've got all the links up, but if somebody wants to reach out to you, what's the best way to do it?
Well, I would say if you want me to answer an email or something, you got something you want to say, go through my website. There's a portal there and you can contact you. And then that way you can reach me there. That's probably the best place. Or if we're already on Messenger on Facebook, we could do it there as well. Or you have something quick to tweeter, whatever it's called. You could do it there too. But I want to say thank you, everybody. I'm sorry I couldn't follow the chain of what you all are saying. I wish I could. It's a lot. I'm trying to show you everything I'm doing. But thank you so much for being here with us. And thank you, Jimmy. It's such a great honor to call you friend and for me to come back on your show and be with all the Fadernauts, you guys. Yay. Thank you.
You're the best, Karen. Thank you so much. I'll give you a call tomorrow. Have a great night. Go Ouija and get me some lottery numbers. All right.
Okay. We'll try.
I'll talk to you, Karen Dahlman. What a great show tonight. And I've got to go straight to credits. We got to get out of here. Tomorrow night, David Palmer is here. We're going to have an incredible show tomorrow night. Great week on Fade to Black. So much fun tonight with Karen. She's the absolute very best. And that drum circle, I'm telling you right now, that's a true story. Fade to Black is produced by Hilton J. Palm, Renee, Dennis, and Kevin. Announcers are Steve Harder, Gene Vitoa, Mark D. Kovar. Webmaster is Drew the Geek. Music, Doug Aldrich. Intro, Spaceboy, spaceboymusic.com. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network, and this broadcast is owned and copyrighted 2022 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network, Inc. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tomorrow night, David Palmer, astrologer, here all night on Fade to Black. Until then, be safe. Go Beckley Tappy.